Now where were we? In the end, Kanun-kun did not regain consciousness. Even though Dr. Nanjo and the rest did all they could to heal him, there was very little that could be done on an island like this without medicine or proper facilities. However, Kanun-kun was the only human ever to confront the culprit. If only he could give us some kind of clue. But by the time he was carried there, he was already too late. Wait. So he's dead? That changes things by a lot. I don't know, gang. I don't know.
My sincerest apologies. Without proper facilities, there was nothing I could do about such a serious wound.
No, that's perfectly understandable. Thank you so much for giving it your very best. Dr. Nanjo's shirt had been sprayed by a violent spurt of blood, so it was easy to imagine the devotion with which he had tried to save Kanun-kun's life up until the very last second. Jessica was crouched in the corridor, crying in anguish. She had probably been taking care of Kanun-kun until the moment of his death. George Aniki tried to approach her with words of comfort, but when Jessica pushed him away, he stopped trying to interfere and left her alone. If only I hadn't let Kanun-san go alone. Oh.
Don't let it bother you. Even if you had been with him, you may have been attacked as well. He foolishly jumped forward and paid for his mistake.
How can you say it like that? Kanun-kun spotted the killer and bravely stood up to them. If only Kumasawa-san had gone with him, the killer might have hesitated and chosen to run away. Emotion-filled words that I never thought I'd hear from the normally factful Jessica tumbled out of her mouth. Kumasawa looked terribly sorry. Looking truly sorry could do nothing but hang her head. Checking the better streamer? Who else is streaming? Is Germa on right now? Nah, I would never be the better one. What about Ruby? So yeah, as you see, I have found out that Kanun really is dead, but I don't know. I don't believe it. It's just the riddle, bro. The riddle. You can't. The riddle said Ah! This song is really good. Crap. I'm glad I chose this moment to read the riddle. I mean, I guess it doesn't say that, you know. Like, on the second twilight, those who remain shall tear apart the two who are close. But it doesn't mean... And that's the only thing that's gonna happen that night. Other things can happen, like other people dying. So I guess Kanun is dead. Maybe. You know, I'm gonna be skeptical about it. I don't believe that Kanun is truly dead. But the one I am 100% sure is not dead is Kinso. He is not dead, dude. Absolutely not. He is not dead. But Kanun-kun, I can maybe believe it. But for now, I just find it odd. I find it odd, to be sure. But I'm just gonna let them cook. I'm gonna let them cook. I won't question it too much. Let it simmer. For now, I'll play along. I'll believe that he's dead. You outstream Sems. No! I am not better than Sems. He has a VTuber avatar. He has a border, he has a cool chat on screen, and most importantly, he has good audio. I would never figure out how to get good audio on this. Not as long as I don't get an actual mic. I've always used the laptop mic. Sending hate Ruby's way. I'll join you. Like, I actually killed him. You're gonna kill me too. Hi, Jules. I'm reading a paper and I'm positive to be here. Yeah, you hate me, Ruby. We get it, bro. Gosh, I just started streaming. There's drama in my chat. Jessica, now isn't the time for words. Even I feel as if, and probably you're the same. And if I don't have the first clue what's going on anymore, as if my heart is going to split open. Those were tears in George Aniki's eyes again. Seeing Jessica break down crying probably brought back the pain of losing his parents. I had already cried myself dry, so I didn't want to cry anymore. However, I felt myself the pain in their hearts. No, Maria, please take her away. Need someone get Maria out of here. I don't want Jessica to yell at Maria again.
It's alright, Jessica Ani-chan. You'll be able to meet Kanan again soon.
Stop it! You aren't helping!
Beatrice will revive the dead, and even the lovely possessed. So you'll definitely be able to meet him soon. Then everyone will be able to live at peace.
This Beatrice, who you say gave you the letter yesterday, is she the one who killed Kanun-kun? Where is she? Where is she hiding? I'll find her and tear her limb from limb. Say it! You know, don't you? You know who the killer really is! What do you know and what are you hiding? Tell me, damn it!
My lady, please stop.
Beatrice exists! Exists! Damn it, let go of me, Genji-san! Maria knows who the killer is, and she's been hiding it on purpose. She must be telling them what we're doing, guiding them as they kill us. Jessica, be silent! Jessica rushed at Maria and grabbed hold of her. Genji tried to stop her, but Jessica could not be calmed. The next thing I heard was the sound of Aunt Atsui slapping— No! Slapping Jessica's face. After that, only Jessica's sorrowful, sobbing voice resounding throughout the hall.
Maria-chan, I know that there's no way you're one of the culprits. You have been with us since the beginning, and there was no time for you to communicate with any killer. So I want you to tell me something. This Beatrice, who handed you the letter yesterday, who was she?
Gang! Y'all gotta get into your thick skulls by now. Although the words seem kind, they clearly showed that George still has some doubts about Maria. He hadn't tackled Maria. However, he felt exactly the same way Jessica did. Aniki, I asked her the same thing only just now. The answer won't be any different. I want to hear it from Maria-chan's mouth. Who is Beatrice?
Even if I tell you, you won't believe me anyway.
What do you mean by that? Is it possible that the killer is someone we know well, and that for some reason you're recovering for them by remaining silent? Who gave you that letter?
I got it from Beatrice. I'll say it no matter how many times you ask. I got the letter from Beatrice. George Shoni-chan, do you refuse to believe in Beatrice because she's not an opponent you can hit? You want to turn your feelings of helplessness into violence and beat someone up. So you won't be satisfied unless your opponent is a human you can hit. So even if I tell you the truth, you won't be able to accept it. So it's pointless for me to tell you. You won't believe. But I will keep on saying it. I'll say it because it's true. Beatrice exists. The door to the Golden Land will soon be opened. And that's where I'm going. Beatrice promised. In that world, Mama is nice, and Papa is with us and is also nice. I want to go there right away. Everyone is afraid of Beatrice, and that is only natural. But calm yourselves. Beatrice told me herself. By the time the typhoon has passed, she will have ended everything. Ow!
Maria, I actually don't dislike you being talkative, but let's leave it at that for now. I'll bet this is all a pretty happy situation for you since you're always going on about how witches exist, but keep that to yourself for the time being. Leave everyone else out of it.
Oh, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm getting the little hints of Battler being a goat. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced yet, but I'm getting hints. I'm getting hints. He's like, George was the best one with kids, and now Battler is being better with Maria because he just gets it more. I'm liking him. I'm liking him. You do voices plus 1 billion aura TVF. Alright. Thank you. It's just fun. It also entertains me. Reading by itself in my head gets me sleepy easier. I can't. Your goat wash, bro. No, she ain't. It's understandable. It's understandable. She lost. She lives here. She lives here. I'm assuming you're talking about Jessica or Natsui. But first about Jessica, she lives here. She spent so many years with Kanun, right? So obviously, the death of Kanun would hit her a lot. So it's understandable. If it's about Natsuki, then yeah, it sucks to see that she slapped her, but she was hysterical. Something had to be done. Oh gosh, I didn't read what she was saying. Please, Jessica. It's understandable. It's understandable. This brat, I've long thought she was creepy, but she's actually screwed up. Somehow she's screwed up in the head. Don't you think so, Battler? Genji-san? Kumasawa-san? What about you, Mom? Maria knows who the killer is and she's hiding it. Sure, maybe she hasn't done anything. But she's definitely the killer's accomplice. That's right, she's a spy. We can't let her stay with us any longer. Jessica. It's understandable. It's understandable. Maria-chan, you must learn that there are some times where indiscreet discussion must be avoided. If you continue to add any more oil to the fire, even I will get very angry. Natsui glared at Maria with frightening eyes. Maria was told to Auntie Rosa's loud style of scolding. Maria was used to Auntie Rosa's loud style of scolding, but she apparently hadn't developed a resistance to this kind of silent telling off. She shrugged and kept her mouth shut. 1 billion aura points towards Natsuki, as is her wont. A desolate feeling filled the room. It felt as though things would just get more complicated if anyone else spoke. How many people had already died? 6 in Dad's group. Also, both Auntie Eva and Auntie Hideyoshi, Kanon-kun, grandfather. There were a whole 18 people on this island. 10 of those had been killed. More than half of us had been killed. And at this rate, there was absolutely no guarantee that the remaining 8 were going to be alright. I gotta review my notes. Where are they? Okay. If Kanon truly is dead, the head, the chest, the stomach, the knee, and the leg can no longer be the servants. There's just not enough anymore. There wasn't enough already, but now there's even less than enough. So the head, the chest, the stomach, the knee, the leg have to be family members. So I have written here, the head is either Natsuhi or Kinso. But if we're to believe that Kinso really is dead, he's not dead, trust. No, he's not dead. Okay, the head's gonna be Kinso. The chest is gonna be Natsuhi. The stomach will be Jessica. The knee will be George. And the leg will be Maria. 100%. Kinso's not dead. Like, I played Danganronpa. Okay? I know that they do. They use a dead body to trick you into thinking that it's a new dead body when it was an old dead body. I played Ace Attorney. I know these things. Anyway, now is not the time for discord. Now that we are certain that the killer can enter and leave the mansion at will and strike out of nowhere, we must give our undivided attention to surviving until tomorrow. I agree strongly with Annatsu. We can take our time racking our brains over the culprit later tonight. For now, we should consider where to barricade ourselves in. As I said this, I pointed out the clock to everyone. It was already 8 at night. We had been receiving shocks over and over again since the early morning, and both of our bodies and our minds were completely tired out. There was still a long time until tomorrow. We needed to find some place to barricade ourselves in, somewhere we could rest our bodies and feel even the slightest bit safe.
I agree. Everyone is already pushing their mental physical limits, myself included. I believe it would be wise to consider our plans immediately.
Settled then. There isn't a high probability that the enemy has the equivalent of a master key. Were Shannon, Kanon-kun, and Goda-san holding master keys?
Yes. As long as they were on duty, they would have had them.
We didn't want to disturb the scene, so we didn't investigate this, but we can eliminate the possibility that a key had been stolen from one of them. Even before that, we know that there's a chance that the culprit visited the 7th room at some point in time, so that they could unlock the shutter to the gross garden shed. I think it very likely that they had already obtained a master key while there. There were many servants serving the Ushiramiya family. Because of that, there were several master keys. Furthermore, every time the shifts changed, the keys were passed between the servants. She had to admit that the arrangement had been somewhat sloppy. Assuming they did borrow a bundle of keys from the pocket of one of the murdered servants, is there any safe place that even those keys couldn't open?
Because of the nature of our jobs, we have been entrusted with keys to all of the rooms, all of them in the mansion and in the guest house.
So in other words, no matter where we hole up and lock ourselves in, it'll be pointless. Fine by me. Who needs goddamn locks? If you're gonna come on, damn it! I'll kill you first! The enemy won't approach us from the front. I don't know about the first 6, but if we look at what happened to my parents and Kanun-kun, and even grandfather, the enemy has only gone after isolated people. They don't have the power to assault all of us openly in a secure room. That's right. It's just like Aniki says. Maybe Auntie's rifle can serve to stave off the enemy. I hope that is so, but... Maria, you gotta leave right now, please. Maria, I know you want to say something, but keep it to yourself, and stay quiet for a while. I wanted to say bachelors just like me, but I'm not saying that yet. Maria probably wanted to say that witches weren't afraid of things like guns or something like that. But if she were to say it out loud, the atmosphere around here would start to get pretty edgy. I had noticed and decided to put a stop to it.
If I may, there is one place that cannot be entered even with the 7th key.
Where is that?
Very well. It is the Master's study.
I'm against this! I don't even want to think about going in Grandfather's creepy room.
How many keys can gain access to that room? There are 2. I always have one of them. The other was held by the Master himself, but just now from the body in the boiler room.
Genji-san took a handkerchief from out of his pocket and opened it, showing us the burnt and filthy key to the study. Then he showed it alongside his own key, which he had once lent to Aunt Natsume.
Normally I would have left the Master's key to the police, but he had ordered me to always protect the safety of the study, so I boarded it for the time being. I see, which means that Kinsel's study is the only safe location right now.
It would appear that way. I don't even want to think about being shut up all night in that room of peculiar smells. But it appears we must accept that this room is safer than anywhere else right now. Grandfather locked himself up in that safe room, but the culprit still brought him out and killed him. We can't say for certain that it's truly safe. If we go with your theory that Grandfather skillfully outlasted the
the receipt and then left the room of his own free will, it still might have some worth as a place to barricade ourselves in. You're too optimistic, Aniki. However, at the same time, I thought he brought up a pretty interesting point. After all, this gave us a chance to question the enemy, the witch herself, about how the sealed door had been opened. If we assume that the culprit had used some technique to abduct Grandfather from the study, they would have to show us the same trick again if they wanted to assault us in the study. It's an opportunity to force the culprit to demonstrate the trick right before our eyes. If they're a real witch, we would be forcing them to say "Open Sesame" and open the door by magic right in front of us. Well, such a thing is probably... If you flip over the chessboard, you realize that the culprit is obviously just trying to act like they're a witch. If they really were a witch, all they had to do was appear in front of us and show off a spell colorful enough to silence all of our doubts. Since they've avoided doing that, everything must be the work of a fake witch who wants us to think otherwise. Therefore, a culprit who used a technique other than magic to defeat the locked door room couldn't open the door before our eyes. Is Grandfather's room big enough to stuff 8 people in?
Yes. There is bed, sofa, and blankets, so while it is not luxurious, it will be more than enough to spend the night. There is also a sink, a bathroom, a refrigerator, and a liquor cabinet.
Wow! That's incredible! But isn't that weird? You're saying he built another house inside his house? That's pretty cramped for this last house of someone like our grandfather who brought a whole island and realized all of his dreams.
Yes, it is. After some point in time, Father wouldn't trust any other place, even inside his mansion.
We always sneered about how he shut himself up in there, and this time we're the ones who are gonna shut ourselves up. Huh. Jessica spat the words out. Jessica-chan, it feels like you would rather go search the culprit than stay shut up somewhere. Of course. I don't think we'll be able to find them if we just start searching now. In the end, we can't do anything but wait. Then it doesn't matter where we wait, does it? I won't run or hide. Why don't we just take it easy in the parlor, watching TV or something, and waiting for the great Beatrice-sama to appear? It would be perfectly satisfactory for her not to appear. There is no need for us to expose the culprit.
Well said. We shouldn't take too many risks before the police get here.
Thank you, Dr. Nanjo. I think we should move to Father's study. Certainly considering the possibility that Father was taken out of there, there's no guarantee of absolute safety. However, just as Butler-kun reasoned, I also can deny the possibility that Father left the study of his own accord and was attacked outside. That crazy theory had just been what I came up with to stop the argument. However, just as Auntie Eva had said, even though that trick would work, I can begin to explain what motive would have made Grandfather do something so awkward to sneak out of his own study. Plus, the trick of hiding under the bed and waiting for the receipt to be removed before escaping couldn't have been used unless Grandfather had known that the receipt had wedged in the door. Auntie Eva hadn't pointed out that last part, but it's clear how absurd the theory was. Then does that mean that, as Auntie Eva claimed, the door was sealed shut and it was a locked room? It is a doubtless fact that Aunt Natsui was the culprit and that the door was a locked room. If Auntie was here now, she would probably say that claim openly and do me the favor of blowing my strange theory away. But anyway, I had to admit that a room with both a bed and a toilet that all 8 people could be shut up in, and with only 2 keys, both of which were gathered here, had to be the safest place in the mansion right now. At the very least, I figured this would be better than shutting ourselves up in the parlor again and saying nothing went wrong while we were in there before. No, wait. Were we safe only because we were shut up in the parlor? What if leaving that room and moving into an unexplored location is actually more dangerous? No good. No good. No goddamn good at all. My flimsy head is about to break out in a fever. As I keep flipping over the chessboard, the real and the inverse keep switching with each other over and over, and I lose my ability to believe anything. When it seems like the culprit is one of the 18, I want to believe in Beatrice. And once I start believing in Beatrice, I start wanting to find the culprit amid the 18. That keep spinning around forever, and in the end my thoughts haven't taken one step from where they started.
How far back in the past was it that Kairi-san taught me this chessboard way of thinking? That concept of examining the situation by flipping it over and thinking from the enemy side. I get the feeling that I was so interested in this way of thinking at the time that I let it guide the way I thought about everything. By the way, Kairi-san was Dad's co-worker back then. I hadn't dreamed that they would come when she would be added to our family. Didn't Kairi-san tell me something? I get the feeling she once said that, while this chessboard thinking was one way to look at things, it wasn't all powerful by any means. And in fact, it was actually bad to rely on it too much. Chessboard thinking is my interpretation of something called game theory, which I read about in a book. It's a very interesting subject, so you should try tackling it when you get into college, Butler-kun. I really want to try it. If I could study that and perfect my chessboard thinking, it'd be like I could read into any opponent's moves. That'd be pretty fun. But you can't believe in it blindly. Game theory is a very deep and... Achoo! Achoo! Excuse me. But you can't believe in it so blindly. Game theory is a very deep and complicated subject. Chessboard thinking is just my interpretation that skims the surface of game theory. In order to thoroughly read your opponent's moves like you are imagining, you need to do a lot of study. Additionally, while chessboard theory is convenient and practical, it isn't perfect. It has many weak points despite its convenience. Weak points? Yes. Chessboard thinking is founded upon game theory, and game theory is essentially math when you boil it down. Do you know what the weak point of math is? It's noise. In math, when you write 1 plus 1 equals 2, that equation will always be 1 plus 1 equals 2, no matter how many billions of years pass, nothing more, nothing less. That's because there's absolutely no noise mixed in. But for example, unlike math, the Japanese language has noise mixed in. Kanji are a good example. Old kanji and new kanji are slightly different, which represents an introduction of noise created by change over the ages. Isn't history the same? There are dozens of policies that seem foolish in the modern era, but were meaningful at some point in the past. Because the rules of chess are fixed when a pair of experts are discussing one particular position, it's possible that they could reach the same conclusion whether they form 100 years in the past or 100 years in the future. However, if the rules of chess had gone through massive changes over time, it's possible that the discussion about that same position would have changed as well. Precisely. Events in the world of humans are naturally full of noise. Aren't human emotions that way? Even if the exact same thing occurs more than once, there's no guarantee that human will always act in the predictable fashion. The very fact that we're trying to read an opponent's actions by applying mathematical theory on them means we must realize that there are absolutely some limits and weak points to our theory. To put it quick and easy, chessboard thinking is extremely weak against noise and fickleness, and even mistakes or incorrect knowledge. That's right. Kairi-san definitely said that. In the first place, chess is a game where both sides play by the same rules and fight with the same objects, namely victory. Fight with the same objective, namely victory. I don't know why I'm so illiterate today. This is why it's possible for both sides to predict the other's moves. It's possible to read an opponent because you can always suppose that they will advance with the best moves they can find. But what if the opponent is fickle or a little tired and makes a move that could hardly be called the best? Or maybe, what if the game actually has special rules? Only the enemy knows them, and they can make use of something unknown to you. In fact, what if the opponent actually has some goal other than victory? Think from your enemy's perspective. That is the basis of chessboard thinking, which means that if you misunderstand your enemy, any and all answers that you draw from that process will be complete rubbish. Rubbish? Rubbish, and of no use at all. Many times I thought that by using chessboard thinking I had gotten a glimpse into the person behind these crimes. However, I don't know anything about the culprit. Am I just playing an elaborate thought? If Kairi-san were here at a time like this, she'd probably be able to notice something with
her much sharper thinking ability. Jessica never warmed to the idea of moving into grandfather's study. In the end, Aunt Natsuhi persisted that we decided to move there. Everyone was already trapped by paranoia. Kumasawa-san had prepared dinner once already, but after the incident involving George Aniki's parents, the kitchen and the parlor had become temporarily devoid of people. Someone said that it might have been poisoned at the time. Because of that, we were unable to even touch the food that Kumasawa-san had taken the trouble to make for us. The manner in which the first 6 had been killed was still unknown, but there was a possibility that it was poison. And indeed, by this method, even a single person would be able to carry out the murder of 6 fully grown adults. Furthermore, this idea made it seem like there was only a single culprit, who was so afraid of Aunt Natsui's rifle, and this was very good for our emotional stability. But the fatigue and hunger were even harsher than we had imagined. So on Kuwasawa-san's suggestion, we all went along together to the kitchen, and gathered some canned food which would be hard to poison, to take it in with us. Ew, yucky canned food. All of Kuwasawa-san's efforts to reward us with at least a nice dinner on this savage day regrettably came to nothing. The food piled up on the serving cart looked just a little sad. We all started climbing the stairs. Aunt Natsuhi led the group, warily staring into the darkness with both eyes on the barrel of the gun. When we arrived on the 3rd floor, just as Aunt Natsuhi had warned us beforehand, there was a mixture of a chemical smell and a sickly sweet aroma, a stench hanging in the air that felt like it was eating into our heads. Drink break. Thirst has been quenched. Yeah, this kind of stench probably would give you a headache if you were Okay. Yeah, this kind of stench probably would give you a headache if you were shut in with it for a whole night. I know it's a little late, but I find myself siding with Jessica against going into grandfather's study. This exceptionally magnificent door felt like the source of the stench. So this was the door to the forbidden study, which had tunneled away all who visited it. While Genji-san was unlocking the door, Maria was staring at the door and the doorknob with great interest.
What a door.
It looks old and strict, like it'll stop any jokes cold. Sure, it's a fitting door for grandfather's study.
It contains a really strong power to ward off any spiritual menace. The batteries probably couldn't open this door.
Oh? What does that mean? Maria pointed at the doorknob. Oh, it's a scorpion! Could I have noticed that the whole time? Am I stupid? If that was there the whole time in any of the scenes and I never noticed, I gotta uninstall. A scorpion crest. Okay, no. This ruins everything. No! Oh, your theories are wrong. Goodbye. So this does... no, nothing makes sense. No, everything... No. How could this be? I don't get it. No. No. Okay. So if batteries cannot open scorpion doors, that means that's why batteries couldn't open the door to Natsuhi's room. Which means that batteries is the one killing people. But why? Why, dude? I know! It doesn't make sense! She wouldn't! That's not part of the game!
the riddle says that she won't revive until like what, the 9th or 10th twilight? I hate the flower emote. Okay, look, okay. The way I've been reading the riddle is that it says she won't revive until the 10th or 9th twilight, and that to me means that she cannot do anything until she revives. But no, it's most likely what Maria said, or was it Shannon? I forgot. That Beatriz does not have a body. She doesn't have a body. She's just butterflies who can apparently kill people with Kanon. And by revive, it means that she's going to get her body in the 10th or 9th twilight. But I don't buy it. I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't like that. I hate everything about that. I think it's all farce. I think it's all hogswash. I don't think that, no. Like, why would she need a body if she can already kill people with a butterfly form? No, I don't think the butterflies can do anything. Like I said last stream, that I was sure Shannon and Kanun's death were suicides. I think they killed themselves. I don't think the butterflies can do anything physically. Maybe it's some evil eye thing where if you see the butterflies, you get the urge to kill yourself. Maybe. But no. It's just so much less satisfying, ain't it? Why did Beatrice pick those people? No. Out the window. I don't bite it. I don't believe it. Because, like, the whole point of Beatrice is she wants to see people kill each other. She wants to see people infighting. So why would she just ignore all the fun of seeing them destroy each other when she's just going to kill everyone herself? And, like, why would she need a key? Why would she need the key to the shutter if she can just open any door that doesn't have a scorpion on it? Right? The shutter didn't have a scorpion. She could have opened that without the key. She's a witch. So no, if you need a key, that means you're a physical person. So I'm still dead set on believing that Kinso is the one killing the people. Beatrice cannot do anything until she gets her body on the 10th or 9th twilight. I forgot which one. And the whole scorpion thing is just a red herring. And also, like, why would Kinso put scorpions on his door if his whole thing is to see Beatrice again? I think Maria's trolling right now. Which means that when she gave the scorpion to Jessica, it was hogswash. It would do nothing. It's just too many inconsistencies. This changes nothing. Everything I believed before, I still believe. The butterflies can't do anything physically. Kinso is still alive. Kinso's the one killing everyone. Kanon and Shannon's kills were suicides because they're on Kinso's team. And Natsuhi was never supposed to be a victim. The scorpion on her door didn't save her from anything. It depends how weird Kinso is. Like, maybe Kinso did want to kill Natsuki, right? And he opened the door. But then when he saw the scorpion hanging from her door, he was like, oh my goodness gracious! She believes in the occult like me! I cannot kill her anymore! So then he left her alive, and that's why the day after he was like, Natsui, you're so based and cool because you're a cult like me, and that's why I respect you. That's why the one-winged eagle is in your heart, because you're a cult like me. Unknowing that it wasn't her scorpion, that Jessica gave it to her, right? There you go. I don't like that either, because I really like the idea that Kinso actually respected Natsuki. But it's better than nothing. There you go. This changes nothing. Nothing has been changed. Everything is the same. All my theories are correct. Hello. A scorpion crest. No. A design like a magic circle arranged around a scorpion was inscribed there. There's a sign. That's right.
Isn't this just like those key holder charms that Maria gave Jessica and me yesterday?
The fifth magic circle of Mars is a strong magic repellent. Additionally, this magic circle was very diligently constructed and is full of power. To bring beings of magic like Beatrice, this magic circle was quite troublesome.
Isn't that comforting? Are you saying that we can even escape the grip of Beatrice's evil hand in this room? Our little witch here sure is reliable. It's just the biggest thing. Kinso wants to see Beatrice again, so why would he construct this door to keep her out? If anything, he should make the doorknobs with a welcome sign for Beatrice. It's just... It's no good. It's no good at all. Then how did Beatrice take grandfather out?
Just as Butler's reasoned, Beatrice can't go inside. But she has magic, and she also has familiars. Using those, she might have been able to force grandfather to leave the study.
Ah, I read that in the manga. There was a scene where the vampires were frightened of crosses, so they couldn't get close. But their families were fine, but their familiars were fine, so they made their familiars attack.
That scorpion key holder like charm I gave you yesterday also had the fifth magic circle of Mars on it. The power dwelling within it was partly paltry, but it would have been also been enough to protect you until you left the island. Although it sounds like you lost it, right?
Scorpion keyholder charm. The charm I gave you yesterday was something I got from Maria. I heard that it would repel magic if you put it on your doorknob, and at the time I thought maybe it would be better if you had it. Is that so? I thought it was an old thing for you to be carrying around.
Had Natsuki put that on her doorknob?
Yes. Last night, after hearing about it from Jessica, I hung it from the doorknob on the inside of my door.
Then now, Natsuki, you're really fortunate. If you did that, Beatrice probably couldn't even lay up one finger on you yesterday. I think Beatrice must have really been annoyed.
Beatrice annoyed. Couldn't lay one finger. Natsui thought back on that eerie graffiti she had seen that morning, like someone had been tearing at the outside of her door with blood-soaked hands, and gasped in surprise. Could it be that this witch who called herself Beatrice had tried to enter through the door to her very own room? But the magic repelling charm had been hanging from the inside, so she couldn't break through the door. So she was annoyed. So she scratched at it. I don't bite it. I don't believe it for 1 second. I think Maria did that herself. I think she scratched at the door herself. I don't actually. But no. I don't believe it for 1 second. No. I'm thinking here. Let me think. It's just why? Why would... I want to hear your voice again, Beatrice! Kinso put a charm on his door that doesn't let her come in. It's hogswash, dude.
Quit it. Don't talk about that. We just don't exist. The killer does. That's a human just like us. And if you need proof, why don't we dice her up and see if her blood's red?
Damn it.
How could you do that to Kanunku?
Genji unlocked the door. The 8 entered Kinso's study.
No, wrong thing. Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So 3 people will be left alive on the ninth twilight. Ah. Obviously, Butler will be the last one. I think the most satisfying people to be left alive on the ninth twilight would be Jessica, Butler, and George, because they're like the second generation. But Maria would also be satisfying to be alive, so maybe we can kill George. We can kill George. Maria, Jessica, and Butler will be the last 3. But then that ruins my the head, the chest, the stomach, the knee theory. Wait. You can hear her meow. Yeah. They are bothering me. Let me cook. Let me cook. Crap. I was looking for a save where I could see the characters before they died, before all this red stuff. Can I choose a chapter within the episode? Cool. Okay. Let me cook. Just let me cook.
This is gonna be the most wild one. This is gonna be the biggest stretch I will ever say. But I'm not gonna say it until I have it written. This one, it's way out there. It's way out there. Sims is crying how you can access this so easily because Steam's 07th mod version is so crap will always be funny to me. Really? While I was doing this, I'm too into my own theory, so I didn't have time to say, but when I found this right here that I could just go back here, I was gonna say like, wow, this is so accessible and cool, that's so awesome. I don't know. Okay. Huh. Alright. So what I was thinking is that gouge the head, the stomach, head, whatever, whatnot, is not about positions in the family or blood relations or rankings, but about where the one-winged eagle is in their body. So we have, let's see, the head is what eludes me. We don't really have anyone with it on their head unless like Kanun's hat or Shanun's hat is on there. Maybe, you know, there's a big chance, which they just haven't shown us. But we do have a lot of them with the symbol on their neck, which I would consider the head. So we have 4. We have Kinzo, Kraus, Rudolph, and Kanon, who have it on their quote-unquote head. Now we have the chest, who we have another 3, exactly 3, Maria, Rosa, and Butler, who have it on their chest. Actually, Kraus? Yeah, that counts. Kraus as well. 1 second. No, you stay in both. Okay, and then we have the stomach, which really, it's quite odd that exactly
two characters have it right on their stomach, which is George and Genji. Like right there, directly on the stomach. And then George also on the stomach right here. Bloop, right there. Like, it's such a weird position for it, but it's right there, clear as day. Then you have the knee, which we don't have. We don't have a knee. But, one second. And so... Crap. What did I do? What did I do? Okay. Rudolph. And Shannon. Okay. Kinsel has it on the leg, covering the knee. Rudolph also, but there's like more the ankle. And Shannon, but that's the thigh. So it depends how literal they're going with it. So any of them could be the knee, I guess. And then the last one, the leg, which again, any of those three. Any of those three could be the leg or the knee. And then we have two characters which don't fit any criteria. Eva, who has it all over her body. And Jessica, who only has it on her arm. And then obviously all the characters that don't have the symbol at all. So now, the thing is that a lot of these characters are dead. Like, there's not a single leg or knee person alive anymore. Stomach, both are alive. Chest, only Maria and Butler are alive. Head, none are alive. So that's the weird part, which is where I thought of that. It does say gouge and kill, but who's to say that's literal? Maybe we just need to gouge out the eagle from their body, from their dead body. So maybe we just gotta desecrate some corpses and kill some new people. It's a weird one. It's not very backed up by evidence. The thing that gets me is just the stomachs. Like, it's so odd that they really have two characters that it's just directly on their stomach. It's odd. But yeah, that's what I got right now. Not much to say. I just cooked it up for later. In case. But I do like it. I do like the idea. I especially like it because Jessica doesn't fall under any other criteria, which means she's safe. Interesting. That is all. Back to actually playing. Today is Battler's birthday. Really? What a coincidence to be streaming on his birthday. Happy birthday, Ushiramiya Battler. Hopefully, you are a character I like. Grandfather's study. I heard rumors about it beforehand, so it didn't surprise me all that much. He has done nothing more than fortify it thoroughly with his occult hobbies. If Grandfather's hobby had been chasing after pop idols, these walls might have been buried beneath idol posters. Even if I didn't understand it, I did realize that this room was an amalgamation of the things he enjoyed. Even so, I couldn't help but remain dumbfounded by the smell of this creepy medicine and the sweet stench that seemed to melt my head. When are they gonna read the letter, bruh? Last stream, I wanted to end stream whenever they read the letter. But I noticed that they were just not gonna stop yapping, so I ended the stream. But still, they still haven't read the letter. When the door closed, it automatically made a clunk. I see, there's the auto lock that's activated whenever the door is closed. And there were only 2 keys which could open this door from the outside, both of which were in this room. In other words, this room had become a locked room. The shutter, the receipt, the chain, and now the auto lock.
This fourth door had been locked in the most magnificent fashion, yet constructing a locked room in a perfect form that none could argue with. Just to make absolutely sure that the door was secure, we checked all over for ways in or out. The windows were tightly locked. That should have been enough, but just in case we tried knocking all over the walls. After all, there have been whispers that there might be a hidden door in this room. But we couldn't find anything suspicious. Grandfather's study was very large. Even though we called it a study, it wasn't really a single room. It could be divided up into 4 basic sections: a study section, a bedroom section, and a toilet bathroom section, and a section for cooking that had a sink. I see the study does have enough in it to live in. Now I could understand how grandfather could live his whole life in this room without ever leaving. It seemed that grandfather wasn't in the habit of watching TV. There was no television in this room, nor even a radio. No, poor Maria, she's gonna be so bored. Until tomorrow morning, there would be nothing for us to do but pass the time listening to the sound of the rain. Dr. Nanjo gazed at the chessboard that sat on the table in front of the sofa and muttered. It was apparently the partly finished chess match he'd been playing with grandfather until yesterday. The black had the white pretty well cornered, and it looked like checkmate would be reached within a few moves, the end of the endgame. Even though checkmate had almost been reached, the endgame hadn't been rushed, and in the end was never completed.
Kinso-san, it seems we weren't able to see this match through after all. Dr. Nanjo. I was Kinso's friend for a long time, but I never knew about it more than half of him. I believe that 2 Kinsos existed, a wise one, and one trapped by some madness. I never understood anything about him.
Especially when it came to Beatrice-sama, it would seem like this personality changed.
In the direction Kumasawa-san's upward gaze, a portrait of Beatrice could be seen. It wasn't massive like the one hanging in the entrance hall, but small, made for this room. Grandfather probably spent every day in this room, and so much of this time talking to the witch in the portrait. Who was Beatrice to grandfather in the first place? By now, you could just explain her away by saying she was a story made by the parents to frighten children away from wandering into the forest. While eating the canned food we brought from the kitchen, we talked together about who Beatrice was. Whether the culprit was Beatrice herself or someone pretending to be her. Whether they were a witch or a human, the lady in this portrait was strongly related to the basis and background of these crimes. You couldn't talk about them without talking about her. Can we read the letter though? Yeah, she's gonna bring up the letter. That's my go.
Oh yeah. Mom, you picked up a letter from the culprit in Auntie Eva's room, right?
Yes. We still haven't opened it, have we? Let's open it and see. Aunt Natsui took out that Western-style envelope. Genji-san pulled the letter opener from a drawer in the study desk and handed it to her. While watching her open it, George Aniki grimaced slightly. After all, it was a letter left at the site where his parents had been murdered. There was a good chance that it would say something unbearable to Aniki. It seemed that Aunt Natsui also realized that, so she glanced over the contents first without reading it out loud. We were a little frightened that she might grimace after reading something shocking, but she just frowned unhappily.
What does it say?
There is one unpleasant sentence. It must be trying to provoke us. Aunt Natsui, after deciding that the contents could be shown to the children, set it openly on the table. Everyone stared at it at the same time. Here you go. Praise my name. The hell? So freaking smug.
It's probably Beatrice declaring herself the victor. Damn it.
I expect you were hoping for another weird magic circle to show up.
It wasn't a magic circle, but it was just as I expected.
What could it mean? I wonder if she wants to tout her own existence.
That seems reasonable. With this letter, we now know that the author of last night's letter is a culprit. I think the identical envelope is more significant than what is written here.
Without a doubt, this is the type of envelope and sealing wax that the master used.
Oh, I don't know what's going on anymore. This is the first time I've seen anything like this since I started working for the Ushiramiya family.
If we're to believe the letter last night, then Beatrice claims to be grandfather's oldest confidant. Grandfather often said the same thing in the past, right? I directed the question to Genji-san and Kumasawa-san, who nodded together. So the two of you knew more about this than anyone except grandfather. Could you tell us? For a long time, I made a point of ignoring this topic, but now that it has come to us, I can no longer do so. Genji, tell us everything you know. Backstory time. Genji-san didn't answer. Did he remain silent despite his knowledge, or did he know nothing at all? Still, I had a good guess. The ghost story of the witch Beatrice had long been defined among the servants. He had probably been very close to grandfather too in his occult hobbies. So there was a good chance that he'd been indoctrinated with even weirder things that had increasingly come to deify the witch. As grandfather's most trusted servant, who had sworn loyalty to him, he might be the most influenced by the witch illusion that grandfather had created. So there was only one reason for Genji-san to remain silent. He could say it, but it would definitely cause a backlash, so it was better if he kept his mouth shut, and it wasn't like he would believe him anyways. Something along those lines. Only a short while ago, Maria had been more than willing to speak bluntly and unrestrainedly, and that had earned her a scuffle with Jessica. It was natural for Genji-san to keep his silence. That's what I'm saying. I believe that. There's too many similarities with some of the children for her not to be. Was she father's mistress, perhaps? His mistress? That could be possible. For ordinary poor people, polygamy is only viewed negatively from a moral perspective, but it is also an unmaintainable financial situation. But that isn't the case for the very rich. It's possible for them to have another lover in addition to their real wife. We can't deny the possibility that grandfather had another woman in his life besides grandmother. Maybe. When grandmother was alive, it seems she strongly suspected that he was cheating on her. I always thought she was just referring to the witch in grandfather's head, but... This is getting really interesting. You told me, didn't you, Genji-san? You said Beatrice had been working for grandfather since before the mansion was finished. I have heard that the construction of the mansion was completed in 1952. That would mean this person called Beatrice had been in a relationship with grandfather for over 30 years. Could that mistress of 30 years ago, or maybe a relative or hidden child of that person, hold some kind of grudge and be planning revenge? I see. This is starting to sound just like one of your standard Western mansion mystery. It's a filthy subject, but the easiest line of reasoning to accept. Well, Genji?
The master surely had feelings of deep love for her. There can be no mistake that he cared for her more than his late wife.
Who is this person called Beatrice? And what is she doing now?
I have heard that she passed away before the mansion was completed.
She's already dead.
Yes, the master mourned for her most grievously. And he devoted himself to the art of black magic as a means to revive Beatrice-sama. The master loved Beatrice-sama from the bottom of his heart. It was that madness which drove him to do all that you see here.
As Genji-san said this, he spread his arms as though asking us to look at this room filled with the signs of grandfather's madness. This song is nice. We were all at a loss for words. Before this, his black magic hobby was nothing other than creepy, and we have found it impossible to understand what drove him to devote himself to it. Nobody had tried to understand Kinso, dismissing him as an eccentric who had restored the Ushinomiya family amidst his madness. All that had been on grandfather's mind was the loss of the woman he loved, and the sorrow of being unable to give up on her. Just a few moments ago, this room had seemed creepy, but in that instant, everything about it started making sense. The creepy books, the magic circles, the medicine, all of it. All just because he wanted to revive once more the visage of a single woman who had left this world 30 years ago.
The master only told me about Beatrice-sama's story once, when he was very drunk. Although I had forgotten the details, it was a deep, deep love, enough to make a woman like me jealous.
Kinzo-san succeeded the headship of the Ushiriya family. His marriage to his late wife was decided by the few surviving elders of the family.
So he married a woman who would benefit the... So he married a woman who would benefit the Ushinomiya family because he was forced to.
That is correct. Kinzo-san was installed as the head who would revive the family and had to bear all of that heavy responsibility. I do not pretend to know the details of when or where Kinzo-san first met Beatrice.
It would be rude to say any more than that. That was when grandfather truly fell in love for the first time. How deep that affection must have been. It was easy to tell just by looking around us. This room was covered with piles upon piles of things having to do with black magic, and grandfather had spent day after long day shut in here, immersed in his research and isolated from the outside world, never taking a single day off. You couldn't help but realize how deep grandfather's love for Beatrice was. I had it all wrong, Genji-san.
What might that be?
I always thought that maybe you servants believed blindly in the witch because you were influenced by grandfather's creepy black magic hobby. But that's not how it was.
Perhaps they had been acting as though at least Beatrice's soul had been restored and existed inside this mansion, in order to soothe grandfather's heart. With closed eyes and an expression as though he was remembering something from a distant past, Genji maintained his silence. He probably felt that to confess that would be to betray his one and only master in the most serious way, even though that person was already dead. Beatrice has revived as a witch, and she is in the mansion even now. That was his mantra, that he had believed, what he had made others believe. And Genji would take that with him to the grave. This might have been the last service he could offer his master. The legend of the witch, the mysterious tale of Rokenjima that was still whispered amongst the servants. Its true nature was a sad lie. No, an act of kindness towards grandfather, who had lost the person he loved above all else. I remember denying the witch's existence in front of father on multiple occasions. Now I finally understand how much that must have wounded him. Right now, I can understand very well. If I thought that I could revive Shannon using black magic, I'd immediately become the next owner of this room and start researching. Anaki. Another strand of tears dropped from George's eyes. Maybe it was infectious. Tears rose to Jessica's eyes too, and she sniffled.
Beatrice told me that very soon she'll be able to revive. We will be able to meet up.
Very soon, the doors to the Golden Land will be opened. In that promised land that glitters gold, she'll resurrect all the dead people's souls and revive the love they possessed as well. And I will sleep in a world of peacefulness forevermore. Did she say that? Did Beatrice give you the letter?
You don't believe, do you?
If only grandfather were here. I'm sure he'd be happy.
I'm sure he'd be jumping for joy now that Beatrice is about to be revived. In that case, I'll believe. If spending half of his life on research is what brought life back to grandfather, and in believing that the soul of the woman he loved had been resurrected is what enabled him to live on to the ripe old age, I'll believe too.
Butler,
When love for a single woman is persistent over a long time, it is shared by those among you and become the truth. Maybe you could say they're just being considerate. But right here, now, I'd like to call that magic.
it isn't consideration. It really is magic. She's a witch. It looks like nobody can see Beatrice after all.
Some time passed. As we listened to the sound of the rain, we considered what kind of love and madness must have possessed the owner of this room as he spent half of his life here. That was quite nice. I enjoyed that. One second, I got pinged. I'm back. If you ask me as a woman, then while I'd like to understand father's feelings of true love, it does leave mother in an awkward position. I agree. Cheating is cheating. No way to make it pretty. That's also true. Poor grandmother. So, is there any story about a child between Beatrice and grandfather? The keyword Beatrice had been hidden in every corner of this case, so it's natural to suspect any relative of Beatrice.
No, I have not heard of anything like that.
If there had been one, I'm sure he would have given them all of this affection in memory of his beloved. Since that didn't happen, and he immersed himself in black magic, maybe we should assume that there was no such child.
Come to think of it, this reminds me of a rumor I heard. You know it, right? You know the story about how grandfather heavily supported a welfare institute called the Gospel House?
Enough of that. There's nothing more than slander which would escalate father. Tell us, Anatsu, don't you agree that we shouldn't hide things from each other? It's a worthless story. Father heavily supported that institute and opened up 7 employment positions for them within his house as part of their social studies. Some foolish people started spreading rumors that father had foul motivations. That is all. At one point, there was a rumor that he was collecting sacrifices for his black magic, and since he was actually doing weird experiments and rituals in his room all the time, I have believed in myself. And who are these servants who came from the Gospel House?
There are several, but during the family conference, only Shannon and Conan were scheduled to be here.
To resurrect Beatrice, he had summoned the servants for a welfare institute as sacrifices.
After all, everyone that grandfather selected as a servant was young, always about the same age as Shannon and Kanunkun. I was sure that grandfather had some weird inclinations.
Jessica, control your words! On Natsuyu scolded her, the atmosphere instantly went sour and everyone fell quiet. However, something was tugging at the back of my mind. Sacrifices. Sacrifices. Sacrifices brought over from the Gospel House. What is it? Freaky words like sacrifices don't pop up often. Yet I've seen or heard the word somewhere recently. Some part of my memory is tugging at me. Come on, Beatrice. What do you know? I had arrived in front of the portrait of Beatrice. It wasn't as vast as the one in the entrance hall, but that portrait, which he must have had drawn by some famous painter, was still just as imitated in its smaller size. Below it, just like in the entrance hall, was the epitaph said to point out the place where the gold was hidden. Ah, sacrifices.
What the hell, Butler? You're creeping me out.
Sacrifice. The six. Both of my eyes open as wide as plates. Right there. Everything had been predicted since the very beginning. Everyone crowded around, and the same expression of terror filled every face. Yes, it was written in the epitaph. On the first twilight, sacrifice the six chosen by the key. There's no doubt. 6 people died in the beginning, and even on the shutter where the magic circle was drawn, no, where the Hebrew was written, it mentioned the offering of sacrifices.
I've been saying this from the beginning.
That's right, Maria had said it from the very beginning. Right after we found the 6 bodies, when Maria was in the parlor watching TV, she had said it.
Killer's not human. Just the sacrifices chosen by the key.
This has nothing to do with the location of the hidden gold. It's black magic or something, the instructions for a resurrection ritual. If I remember right, this epitaph requires a long number of deaths.
It sure does. Even reading through it quickly, there would be 6 plus 2 plus 5. 13 people would have to die.
How many people are normally on this island? It varies depending on the shifts for the servants, but there's father, my husband, me, and Jessica, and 2 or 3 servants. Today and yesterday, there were 5 of them, but there aren't normally that many. Which means that normally, there wouldn't be enough sacrifices to carry out this ritual. No, wait. There's that rumor that grandfather was collecting servants to the gospel house to be used as sacrifices in some creepy ritual.
So what? He increased the number of servants to increase the number of sacrifices, and waited for the annual family conference when even more people would be together? Isn't now the only time of the year that this ritual could be held?
When Jessica screamed this, Maria broke out in that creepy laugh, looking truly pleased.
Aren't there some people who make bets to test their fate?
Like throwing a sando and saying that if it lands right side up, tomorrow would be sunny. Or saying that tomorrow would be a good day if a coin lands on heads. There are many little superstitions like that. If you're fed up at how nothing is going right for you, and you happen to roll some dice and get 3 sixes, it would probably make you want to believe that it's a sign of some miracle. When flipping a sandal, you have at worst a 50% chance. Even if you get it right side up, it's not worth much. But if you carelessly roll 3 dice and they all come up 6, you might think that's a small miracle.
Sorcery works the same way. You keep on praying earnestly, hoping for that impossibly unlikely outcome. Then, when the impossible result comes, shows itself, the feeling from all those stored up prayers that are made incarnate through magic. The sorcery that grandfather was trying to perform was probably like that. The key randomly selected sacrifices in a lottery. So to reduce the chance that he himself was selected, he chose the day with the greatest number of people on the island to carry out the ritual.
How ridiculous! Are you saying that all these incidents were part of the process of some questionable magic ritual?
Natsui yelled. She couldn't stop thinking fearfully about how she might have been protected just because of that scorpion charm. If I hadn't received that charm from Jessica and hung it from my doorknob, would I have been killed because of those 6? And the strangest part is, even though I hung the charm from the inside of my door, they couldn't get through the door. The killer had noticed the charm from outside the door and had given up trying to open the door. A human couldn't have perceived that. The charm meant to stop someone that was not human had done just that. Impossible, impossible, impossible!
However, Natsui-san, look, the epitaph traces the events that followed.
On the second twilight, those remains shall tear apart the 2 who are close. Could this be talking about Eva-sama and Hideyoshi-sama?
Painful as it may be, we must reach that conclusion. And after the culprit killed them, they left the words from the 3rd twilight in the letter there. That's right. After carrying out the 2nd twilight, they left the 3rd twilight in that place. The 3rd twilight is just like Natsui just read. On the 3rd twilight, those who remain shall praise my noble name. No, I read it. It just keeps going on, doesn't it? On the fourth twilight, gouge the head and kill. Gouge the head and kill. George and his parents were killed with a demon-sized fixed gouge into their heads. But if that counted as the second twilight, someone else must be gouged in the head. I forgot that Kinso had the ice pick in his head. I was counting the twilights as separate nights. And that's why I couldn't accept people dying outside of the night. But if the twilights are just events and not nights. And Kanon got hit in the chest. Oh, brother. That's stupid! That sucks! That's no riddle though! That's not a riddle! There's nothing to solve there, it's just... That would be too literal! It would be just... It's not a riddle! It's just saying what is happening! Someone's gonna die through the head, someone's gonna die through the stomach, someone's gonna die through the chest, someone's gonna die through the leg, the knee, and then the leg, like... There's nothing to solve there. Either this game is hogswash and there's no riddle. The riddle was just saying what literally was happening. Or this is just a red herring and it is a riddle to be solved. And the head, the stomach, the chest all are metaphors for something else. Like what I was thinking. Like they're either metaphors for family rankings or metaphors for where the ego is on their body. I'm so ticked off right now. It's like, it didn't cross my mind at all. Not for a single second. You know why? Because it's stupid. It's just literal. It's just, there's nothing puzzling, nothing metaphoric, nothing riddling about it. That's why it didn't cross my mind at all to read it literally. What riddle is literal? Nah, don't hit me. Don't hit me with the flower emojis. Nah. They're just trying to trick me. It's a red herring. I'm not falling for it. Literally everything the game has told me has just been a lie. Continue. You should all get banned in my chat. But if that counted as the second twilight, someone else was a gouge in the head. That's grandfather. He had burned in the incinerator and our eyes were so drawn to the part that we didn't notice. But grandfather's forehead, no, his head had been gouged. Grandfather is the victim of the fourth twilight? Then Kanun-kun...
On the fifth twilight, gouge the chest and kill. We thought that Kanun-kun's case was an unexpected encounter with a culprit, but that's wrong. They had been planning on luring someone out alone and driving something through their chest from the beginning.
If the culprit had followed the epitaph this far, does that mean that 3 people still have to die?
Horse losing the race and now match with skill issue. Nah! I'm not giving you the attention you want. You just want attention right now, and I'm not giving it to you. You're nothing. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill.
Yes. You could read it that way.
Well, I wonder about that. After those 3 die, it reaches the 9th twilight. Take a look. On the 9th twilight, the witch revives and none shall be left alive.
We are all going to be killed by Beatrice.
I don't get it. Doesn't that mean that everyone will die no matter how many people there are? What was grandfather's goal? Doesn't this mean that the ritual would kill grandfather himself no matter what?
it matter that no one's left alive? On the 10th twilight, we finally arrive at the Golden Land.
On the 10th twilight the journey ends, and you shall reach the home of the gold. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures.
Grandfather wasn't afraid of something like that. Look at the second and third of the 4 treasures.
One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed. So grandfather believed that he would eventually be revived, even if he died partway through the ritual.
Ridiculous! That's insane! When you die, it's over, right? The dead don't come back to life. That's a miracle that humanity has been chasing after for thousands of years and still haven't accomplished. So it's gotta be something like this, right? Something like you can revive and meet them in the world after death.
If what you say is right, that would mean grandfather, whose remaining life is slim, would also be insane because of love, is committing suicide. No, a massive forced group suicide. Genji, can that possibility be considered?
I do not know. The master is a man who sometimes has the wisdom to see 1,000 years into the future. However, there are times when there appears to be nothing more than the madness, the commoners such as myself.
What? Does that mean yes? What do you say, Kumasawa-san? I don't know anything. No, you can't be sure of that. Do you think I would be on this island today if I did know? I would have faked an illness or done whatever it took to get a day off. Good gracious, yes.
What about your opinion, Conductor Nanjo? You've been grandfather's friend for many years.
I feel the same as Genji-san. Genji-san was a man who far surpassed ordinary people. I even felt a certain human power from him at times. Not even I understand what Kinzo-san was thinking when he wrote the epitaph.
All we can say is that even if the person who created this outline was father, then the one carrying it out is a different person. That's right. At the very least, that's another culprit who attacked grandfather and Kanonkun. Furthermore, that person is still continuing the crime just as the epitaph says. There's a letter in the beginning that we didn't think deeply about. What was it that was written there? We thought back to the recitation of the letter last night. Beatriz had proclaimed something inside the letter. She had proclaimed that in accordance with her contract with Kinso, she would collect everything of the Ushinomiya family as interest. But then she had also revealed a special clause. If someone discovered the location of the gold grandfather had hidden, that the right would be lost. At the time that the letter had been read, grandfather said, at that time, it had already been sealed with wax by the head's ring, which means the grandfather had handed the ring over to Beatriz while he was still alive. When you think about it that straightforwardly, we should probably take that to mean that Beatriz is carrying out the strange contract and grandfather is securing her that right. Simply put, it was the same as saying that grandfather knew of and approved of the contents of the letter. In other words, it's as though it was a joint message from Beatriz and grandfather, telling us that Beatriz will start collecting interest if we don't solve the riddle. In short, grandfather and Beatriz were telling us to solve the epitaph's riddle, and if we couldn't, they were saying they would kill us all, following the procedure in the epitaph. What meaning is there to that? What do they want? I don't have a clue what it means.
Look, another letter from Beatriz.
Huh? What did you say? Maria was pointed at the top of the table where the canned food that everyone had been eating was just now still lay. A Western-style envelope was sitting there. But so what? What? Ainatsuki let out a hysterical cry, looking between her own hand and the table, because the envelope that she had just opened was still grasped in her hand, and despite that, there was an envelope on the table. What is this? What's going on, Maria? Where did that envelope come from?
Just now, I looked and it was lying there. I don't know anything.
This isn't funny. There's only the 8 of us here. There's no way some 9th person snuck in. There wasn't enough time during the few seconds that we gathered around the portrait, right? I muted myself by accident. Whoa. Also, the song's called System Zero? Okay, Natsui. Please. Whoa, this song. Get back! All of you! Back against the wall! Aunt Natsu is pointing the rifle at Genji and the others bellowing them. Genji-san was overpowered, his face looking like he didn't have a clue what was going on. Oh, did I skip something? No. Of course, I felt the same. But a few moments late, I reached the same conclusion Aunt Natsui had. Until just a few seconds ago, there was no letter like this on the table. And nobody had entered the room. That means someone among us had placed it there during the few seconds where everyone was looking away, preoccupied with the portrait. Butler-kun, open that envelope and read what's inside. Screenshot. Sure. I picked up the envelope. It was still sealed with wax. Even without disturbing its contents, I realized this was an unopened envelope in an unknown envelope. Without relying on a letter opener, I violently tore it open and pulled out the letter inside. The contents were as follows.
Are you enjoying the riddle of Kinso-sama's epitaph? As you are all probably aware, you have very little time remaining. Please abandon any naive hopes of escaping after the storm passes. This game can only end with my victory or yours. When time runs out, I will win by default. There will be no ties. Make sure that you do not misunderstand your current situation.
That's what it says. It isn't clear who put the letter there. However, I have been able to narrow down the list of suspects. It's all of you!
Madame, there's just too horrible.
Just before I moved towards the portrait, I set a can of food down here. And at that time, there definitely wasn't anything as strange as this letter there. At that time, Jessica, George-kun, and Butler-kun were already in front of the portrait. And they didn't leave the spot in front of the portrait until the letter appeared. So the person who set the letter down is one of you four. Beatrice is one of you.
We aren't Beatrice. Beatrice exists.
Silence! I don't know whether I should suspect one of you or all of you, but without a doubt, at least one among you is the culprit. That's right. There can't be a 19th person. There's no way witches exist. Even when Kanun-kun was killed, yeah, that could be explained if Kumasawa-san was the one who did it. The truth is, Kumasawa-san entered the boiler room with Kanun-kun and killed him. And then she lied, saying he had already fallen when she got there.
You're making a mistake, milady. Why would I do something like that?
I don't have the slightest idea how my parents were killed in that locked room. But when they were killed, everyone except for the servants had an alibi. The only ones who didn't were the servants. But is it really correct to suspect them? Well, now that you mention it, they do have no alibi for any of the cases, but... should we really be so quick to make that judgment? But this time, in this room, in this place, in this moment, in this minimally small bit of time and space, it's so obvious. Only one of the four of them could have set the letter there in our blind spot. We can't tell who put it there, but it's obvious that one of the four did it. Natsui-san, please calm yourself. A lot has happened today. I understand the condition in your heart is in right now. Dr. Nancho, it truly pains me to call you suspicious. However, as father's personal doctor and his closest friend, you have been by his side for many years. You might know about Beatrice as well. Could you be hiding some kind of old personal connection of his? Of course not. Calm yourself. It is pitiful to watch Dr. Nanjo frantically plead his innocence. It was probably a normal reaction that anyone would give if they were suspected. Kuwasawa-san was the same. Since Jessica had started suspecting her in the murder of Kanon, she was now totally flustered. That was why Genji's still calm appearance looked so bold. Aunt Natsui pointed the barrel of the gun. Genji, You were father's number one subordinate. Was Beatrice a fantasy you showed to father with you as the performer?
If by suspecting me, you recognize me as the master's greatest servant, then it is a great honor to me, regardless of the circumstances. However, I am not the one who put the letter there.
Do you expect me to just accept that? You must be the ringleader! Maybe Kuwasawa and Dr. Nanjo are your accomplices! And you too, Maria-chan!
Not content to doubt just the adults, Aunt Natsui pointed the gun relentlessly at Maria too. But Maria acted as though nothing had happened. Or maybe she thought that she would be fine even if she was shot.
Maria-chan, by this point, we can no longer remove someone from suspicion just because they are young. So for the last time, let me ask you the question that everyone's brought to you since last night. Yesterday, who was the Beatrice that handed you the letter? Maria, don't try to fool us. Make it clear. Who the hell gave you that letter? How many times do I have to tell you? It's Beatrice, the 1,000-year-old golden witch. If you want to know what she looks like, just turn around. See, she's right there. Beatrice is. You think this is a game, you little bitch?
Stop it, Jessica! Maria too. Don't you understand the situation? What are you hoping to gain by saying stuff like that? Stop stirring each other up pointlessly.
I don't understand. Who do you people want to be the culprit? You only believe in Beatrice when you don't want to doubt one of your own. And when you're trying to settle a grudge between someone who's close to you has been killed, only then do you want to believe in a human culprit who you can attack with violence and deny Beatrice. That's why you can't see her. Beatrice exists. You all can see her. Silence! I don't want to label you as the culprit, but there is no longer any doubt that you enjoy making the situation unpleasant, serving the intense interests of the enemy. And then what will you do? Shoot me? I don't mind. Very soon the door to the Golden Land will be opened. Then all the dead shall be resurrected. Right now, death is nothing to be afraid of.
Mom, she's really suspicious. We can't stay with her. But Aunt Natsui, please calm down. There's no reason to shoot Maria-chan. Please remain composed. The letter was meant to provoke us, but it's nothing to be afraid of. Even the culprit is scared of tomorrow, scared of the police. Right now, this island is free from the search of the law, but that's only because it's isolated by the typhoon. Once the typhoon passes, the law will return. So you mustn't shoot.
How can you stay so calm, George-san? One of the four is the culprit. No, maybe all four of them are working together. How can you stay so calm when one of these four might be the culprit who killed your parents?
Even I have this desire to find the culprit and kill them. But that would be simple barbarism. I would leave the judgment of crimes to the law. So no matter how suspicious they may be, you mustn't pull the trigger. I feel the same as George Saneki. Aunt Natsui, get a hold of yourself for a second. Anyway, it'll be bad to shoot. In times like this, I hear you should tilt your head back and say, stay cool 3 times. Let me make this clear. Witches don't exist. Not on Rokkenjima. Not in the Ushiramiya mansion. I declare it as Ushiramiya Natsuki, representative of the Ushiramiya family. There's no witch here. I won't accept Beatrice. No matter what you're planning, I won't let you lay one finger on my daughter or the rest of them. That's my duty as the mother and as a representative of the family. She's so real. Oh my gosh, please don't die. Please don't die. Please don't die. Please don't die. Those words were the final words of farewell that settled everything. To protect her daughter, Aunt Natsui would regard any suspicious persons as an enemy. The only reason George Aniki and I were standing on the side was because by coincidence we had a clear alibi regarding the letter. If I hadn't approached the portrait, I too may have been at the other side of that gun barrel, treated like a criminal.
But even though part of me thought that, part of me was thinking that chasing all of the suspicious people from the room would finally guarantee our safety. Genji-san, Kubosawa-san, Dr. Nacho, all of them were on grandfather's side. You could even say that Maria was on grandfather's side since she had a blind belief in Beatriz. That's right, they were all suspicious. But is this really alright? Is it really alright for us to fight back against lawlessness of the witch by throwing out all the suspicious ones without due process? Don't end the chapter. Don't end the chapter. Okay, good. Okay. Whew. Natsu is the best character. Like, come on now. She is not going to be beaten. She is just the best character ever. And there's not, like, nah. She's just the best. She's just the best. She is more of a man than Kraus could ever dream of being. I hate Kraus. I'm glad he died. Aunt Natsui didn't tell them to leave with her own words, but with wordless pressure, she was inducing them to say that themselves. So if Dr. Nanjo hadn't said those words, this cold silence would surely have continued forever.
Oh, yourself, Natsui-san. But I understand your feelings well. I myself feel like there's something wrong with my head after all of these strange repeated incidents, so I understand well why you want to suspect us.
If you really have nothing to do with this, I would think that what I am doing is beyond rude. However, please understand just this once.
I understand. Let's leave the room. What do you say, Genji-san? Shall we return to the parlor and continue our chess game? If that is what you wish, by all means.
I don't want to. I mean, that means we'll have to leave this room knowing that the wolf is among us. I don't want to. Madame, please forgive me.
What Kurosawa-san was trying to say made total sense. If she was innocent, then she was being rejected into dangerous territory along with the culprit. In the current situation, pressing her to leave this room along with the suspects was almost exactly the same as letting her get killed. However, Kurosawa-san really was suspicious just for being the first one to discover that Kanun-kun had been murdered. Loves Natsui! Loves Umineko! Okay. I love Natsui. Absolutely. Hands down. No doubt about that. She is greatest character in fiction. Loves Umineko? We'll see about that. Don't get your hopes up. Settle down. Simmer down. Among Us. At that time, everyone except Kurosawa-san had an alibi. As long as the use of some trick or the existence of some 19 person could not be established, Kurosawa-san was one of the most likely suspects by far. I didn't want to believe it. However, Aunt Natsui and the rest of us were in such a difficult situation that we couldn't help doubting any of them, Kurosawa-san included. So we didn't say anything to stop Aunt Natsui from trying to personally chase them from the room. We had stopped her from shooting, but when it came to exiling them from the room, we were passively agreeing. Maria spoke to the still fretful Kurosawa-san.
You'll be alright. Beatrice is kind to those who respect her. You believe that Beatrice exists, so I'm sure you'll be fine. I'm going to watch TV in the parlor. Let's watch it together. This place has no TV and it's boring.
I looked at Kurosawa found Maria's roguish laugh very frightening. However, the three others had agreed to leave the room. Kurosawa couldn't fight the flow and had to agree, crying as she left the room.
Well then, Natsui-san, I shall leave you for tonight. Let us meet again tomorrow.
Yes. Please understand. At least for tonight. Watch the police come. Oh, when the police come, I promise to apologize to you all for my rudeness. You may play chess, but do it in a safe place if you can. Oh, I don't want her to die. Genji, I leave it to you.
Certainly.
It can't be helped, can it? They always say that the most frightening bears are those with their cubs. Genji.
Go. Genji, Kurosawa, my sincerest apologies. Let us meet again tomorrow. Maria Chansu, please forgive your cold aunt.
I forgive. Oh!
I can't do this.
Madame, the keys to this room. I will hand both of them over to you.
Genji-san pulled the 2 golden keys from his pocket and handed them to Aunt Natsui.
And I will also hand over my bundle of keys to the inside of the mansion.
He took out a bundle of about 10 keys of various shapes and handed them over. To the servants, those keys were probably the proof of their position. Being placed in charge of those keys meant that they were trusted, relied upon. Being forced to return them meant that they have lost that trust. Thinking about it that way, there could be no greater humiliation for Genji-san, who had served here for all these years. However, his usual indifferent expression remained on his face. Bro, day one you were saying how much you love this, you finished. Hey, baseless accusations. Baseless accusations. True, the streamer lied. Or maybe you were in love with it, then 10 people died. Nah, that made me like it more. And I like Rosa hurt. Kraus hurt because I liked voicing him. But Rosa was the one that I liked. But besides that, nah, I don't care. Right now, Maria, Natsui, Jessica. As long as they stay alive, this game shall stay installed in my computer. Loves Maria, I do. Bro, something like Germa for a sec, okay. It's the streamer curse. He starts taking over you like a symbiote. Loves death, loves conflict and people dying. Hey, I'm a Danganronpa fan. I don't know what you want from me. Genji, I had planned that after father passed away, I would reward you for your many years of hard work and allow you to retire. And yet, I am treating you like this. It makes me feel ashamed from the bottom of my heart.
I have already received the Master's favor. Everything I have done until today has been in repayment for that. Please do not worry over it. Well then, shall we, everyone? Good night to you all.
Night night. Butler too. Night night.
Maria. Wait a sec. Guilt made me call Maria back. I groped around in my pocket and took out the scorpion key holder. This repels magic, right? Keep it on you.
Didn't you say you dropped it?
Back then, I was kind of pissed off and I was just bluffing that I lost it. There's no way I'd lose your precious charm. Maria silently took the charm. I was unable to say anything after that.
Well then, everyone, good night to you.
Unable to respond, we watched them leave, our expressions completely tired out. And until the door closed and we had heard the auto lock, we were unable to even draw our next breath. Then, when I was finally allowed to take a breath, I noticed that Beatrice's letter, which I had been gripping the whole time, and which was soaked with my sweat, actually had 2 sheets. Battler, you... Come on, buddy. The paper had been tightly stuck together, so I mistakenly thought that there was only one. There was nothing written on the second sheet. The thing drawn there was a magic circle written with a red ink like blood. Just like how every magic circle up until then had been different, this magic circle was one that I had never laid eyes on. Inside the circle, a large triangle and a small triangle were fit together in a simple design. But just as before, there was writing in Hebrew, and it seemed clear that it held some kind of meaning. I wanted to know what it could be, but we had just chased Maria, the only person who could understand the meaning of magic circles, out of the room. During the study, though, Kenzo must have had lots of books about these things. You could probably search it up. I thought of the magic circles in a second set of messages from Beatrice. What does it mean? Damn it. We chased out all those suspicious people. Now all we have to do is stay barricaded here until morning. And then everything will be over? Once the typhoons passes, when the seagulls cry, will everything be resolved? But the letter that had unexpectedly appeared in the study had rejected that naivete. It had made it very clear that if time ran out, it would mean victory for the witch. When time runs out, is the witch planning to take on the offensive? Is she finally planning to display some fearful magic power? Maybe something that could have been used to kill all 6 adults at once? Wait, when is time supposed to run out? I don't know anything. Now, we should finally be safe. Finally. Definitely. Even as she said that, Aunt Natsui couldn't stop gripping that rifle. There was no release in the tension of her expression. Of course, none of us felt like breathing a sigh of relief yet. At least not until we could hear the cries of the seagulls once more. Chapter end. Yeah! Oh, man! Dude, this is so good! What do you mean the chapter is called The Golden Witch? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm stumbling over words and can barely read. I can't continue. But the chapter is called The Golden Witch, bro. One more chapter. There you go, peer pressuring. Do not stop. Just stop, rage bait Ruby. I just did. Okay. One more chapter. One. But, like 5-minute break. 5-minute break. Just come back in 5 minutes. I'm gonna go get a snack, drink some water. So VRV. And one more chapter. And that's it. So, VRV. We're back. Either 15 or 16 minutes passed. Either way, not too long. Let us ping the others. I know Sims is here, but I'm gonna ping him anyways. Where, Umineko? Where? Right here, just in time, just in time. After we chased them out, nobody said another word. We had exiled all of the suspicious ones. Even though we had known that there might be some innocents among them, we had exiled them all the same. We had chased them out of this paradise, where people didn't have to doubt each other. However, our motive for chasing them out had been suspicion of our fellow man, the worst kind of crime for a human. If I had been able to accept the existence of a 19th person of the witch, then we all might still be talking face to face, trusting in each other. And in that instant, we had agreed to chase out all of the suspicious people. But had that been the right thing to do? During this endless silence, we could do nothing but be quietly tormented by the sin. Aunt Natsui was facing the door, seated all the way back in her sofa, not letting go of her rifle for even an instant. She would probably spend the night staring at the door without a wink of sleep. George Aniki was gazing through a gap in the closed curtains by the window, looking down on the courtyard and the mansion that it surrounded it. Whether he was checking to see if any suspicious shadows would become visible through the window, or whether he was engaged in some deep internal conversation, I couldn't tell. Jessica was sitting at the angle of the sofa next to Aunt Natsui's. Jessica was sitting at an angle on the sofa next to Aunt Natsuhi's, with a dead expression in her face. Oh. That reminds me that I didn't give any comments on like who placed the letter. Obviously, I think it's two options for me. Either Beatrice did it, like for real, which I see very possible. I think that's very possible that she just popped in for a second, put it down, popped out. But the whole thing that she cannot interfere physically with anything, then my other guess, and honestly the one I like more, is that it was Maria who placed it down. Maria has a bag with her. Like when she was given the first letter, who's to say she wasn't given more letters, right? What if she was given all the letters and was just told when to put them down? Maybe, I'm not sure if she was available to do it during Eva's and Hideyoshi's death, but she could have definitely placed it down here. So yes, I do blame the child. But in the way that, you know, the witch appeared to her earlier and told her, this letter, give them to it now, and this letter, give it to them on the third twilight or whatever, right? That's what I believe. Patience is not simply the ability to wait, it's how we behave while we're waiting. Wait, that's hard. That's hard. Write it down, write it down. That's good. When they cry fans indoctrinating someone to spend 800 hours on the series. It's working. And every once in a while, as though she just remembered something, she would take out the inhaler that she had used during their asthma attack and stick it in her mouth. No, don't overuse it, girl! What if it runs out? Please don't. Don't make a plot point about her inhaler running out and we can't get a new one because we're on the island. They do that, uninstall. Those are my uninstall conditions. If Jessica, Maria, or Natsuhi die, uninstall. If they do a plot point with Jessica's inhaler running out, uninstall. I just heard it from Aniki, but apparently Jessica liked Kanun-kun. It seems that it was such a vague thing that she wouldn't have realized it herself. You know, it's the kind of thing that other people tend to spot before the person in question realizes it. In that case, she might have first learned of her feelings when the person she liked died. It was truly pitiful and sad. Come to think of it, Kanun-kun had been the one to hand her that inhaler. Maybe she was remembering that. As for me, I was fishing around grandfather's study, thinking I researched the meaning of the magic circle on the second sheet of the letter. And smart! That's what I'm saying! That's what I'm saying! Smart. On in stock conditions, it's over, Umi bros. Even though we were just shut up in here, in a defensive position, my rebellious nature made me want to keep up the offensive, find some key to all of this. We have plenty of time until tomorrow morning anyway. No matter what I do with the time, no one can find fault with it. No one else showed that much interest in this magic circle. Its meaning was unknown, and once we were understood it, we were sure to find some message that would cause us unnecessary anguish. I also agreed about this. However, I still couldn't let it go, so I killed time pretending to research it.
You sure are enthusiastic.
Did you find anything that might serve as a hint? Not a thing. The first task is even finding a book written in Japanese. Just how many languages could grandfather read? He's incredible.
Aren't you tired, Butler-kun? You should take a rest while someone else is staying awake for you. Aunt Natsuhi may be saying she'll stay vigilant all night, but there's no way her body can handle that. We should take turns sleeping.
Then you sleep first, Aniki. I'm gonna keep on my little research until the downstairs hits. That drowsiness hits. The magic circle? Pretty much. We've gotten plenty of time to kill. I thought it'd be interesting to find out what kind of message the great Beatrice-sama put in it. I wouldn't. Keep that up and you'll get possessed by something weird. Relax. I've been certified by Maria. She said I'm utterly lacking any spiritual talent. Were we too cruel to Maria? Jessica, you mustn't think that now. But Mom, if Maria wasn't involved then the killer's someone's totally different. They're obviously gonna go for the easy targets. If she's killed because of this, then we've just let her die. A gloomy silence settled once again. It looked like Jessica regretted that she let her emotions take hold of her and snapped at Maria. She always was like that. Always acted through, went too far, and regretted it later. Acted tough. I understand how you feel, but Maria was in close contact with the culprit. And what's worse, she seems to be taking this side, and with their endless series of misdefined statements. I'm relieved that we chased her out. That's pretty harsh, Aunt Natsu. Couldn't it just been the nonsense of a 9-year-old girl? Even I thought I was being brave in saying that. I myself had thought Maria was creepy on several occasions today, and had doubted her true nature. And when Maria had been chased out of this room, I couldn't deny that I felt some relief. If that is the case, then tomorrow I will apologize for what I did. I will take full responsibility for chasing them out of this room. This isn't something that the rest of you have to worry about. I could feel a tragic determination in Aunt Natsuhi's words. To protect her own daughter, she would resoundingly chase out the suspicious ones. And if that is the result, she had left to die those people who had the misfortune to be suspected, so be it. She was prepared to take full responsibility. Why does Maria have to keep saying stuff like that? She's bringing about her own ruin. I think that the reason Maria-chan adores witches and magic so much might be because of Auntie Rosa. Because of Auntie Rosa? What does she have to do with this? I think you must have realized it too, Butler-kun. Maria-chan's real father ran off somewhere a long time ago. Although Auntie's trying to cover it up by saying he's on a foreign business trip. Talking about Rosa-san's family has become a kind of taboo in the Ushiramiya family. I think Auntie even thought about remarrying. But I also believe Maria-chan may have become her shackles and made that quite difficult. After all, she sometimes got incredibly emotional and took it all out on Maria-chan. I agree with you there. It looked like Auntie Rosa was trying hard to like Maria. Which means that she didn't really like her. I'll bet she had some strong thoughts about Maria standing in the way of her getting remarried.
I think that the emotional rejection from her mother must have left some deep scars on her young heart. So when she learned about this occult hobby from somewhere, she immersed herself in it so she could fill the holes in her heart. Did you know? To Maria-chan, the image of a witch isn't negative at all. Remember yesterday, at the beach, when she showed us her notebook? Yeah, it was full of those fun-looking scribbles. Yesterday, when we had doubted the witch down by the beach, Maria had gotten all riled up and started explaining about witches. And not one of the pages has shown a picture of an ugly witch. They were all brightly colored, beautiful, cute witches who looked like they were having fun. There was absolutely nothing sinister about them like a boy might have imagined. There were beings adorned with beautiful dresses who could grant anyone's dreams with their mysterious magic and who made everyone happy. The sorrow of not being loved by her mother. Had Maria sought salvation from the witches as beings who could save her from that sorrow and make her happy? Someday a witch would come and using her wonderful magic would bring Maria happiness. Even though she believed that, as she grew older, she had to face reality as her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. I'll be right back. I'm back. My cat was started to make a mess. That's why I was laughing. The creature. Even though she believed that, as she grew older, she had to face reality as her fleeting dreams were sliced to ribbons one by one. If, in front of a girl like that, something claiming to be the witch of Rokkenjima appeared, and whispered that she would take Maria to the golden land where Maria could be happy. I think it's time I confess what's in my heart. El gato. Why is there so many cat emojis? What the heck? They're so good. Maybe throwing out Maria-chan. No, Genji-san and the rest too was probably the wrong thing to do. I do feel guilty, since Jessica had been the one to face them and slammed them with words of rejection. Her conscience must be tormenting her a lot right now. Then, how do you all explain the letter? No one could have sent it there except the 4 people standing behind me. I was able to see that quite clearly with my own eyes.
If those four are innocent, how was that letter placed there in a locked room with 8 people in it?
That's just it. When you put it that way, those 4 really do seem suspicious. But that's no goddamn good. Yeah, it's no goddamn good at all. No good. What is? Right. It might not be worth anything anymore, but let me flip over the chessboard again. What I mean is, if one of those 4 really is a culprit, it makes no sense.
That's right. Wasn't setting the letter openly on the table the same as confessing that one of them was the culprit? You're right. That makes no sense. If you were gonna do that, you'd put it like in the crack of the door to make it look like someone had slipped in from the outside. Yeah, they must have known that they'd be suspected if they didn't make it look like the culprit was outside the room.
Yes, that's exactly. If the culprit was one of the 4, setting that letter right in the middle of the table would be both risky and meaningless. But putting aside whatever trick they used to set it there, if we assume that the culprit is someone other than those 4, in other words, someone who was outside the room, then they had a lot to gain from that letter. Stop that, Butlerkin. At this point, that issue is insignificant. Natsuki quickly guessed what I was getting at. No, maybe she thought of it long before I had and had simply held her tongue. If the culprit was outside the room, then once we shut ourselves up in the locked room when the culprit couldn't touch us, it was all over for them. That's right. It's the same as the theory I proposed about the grandfather that disappeared from this room, isn't it? The theory that grandfather left the room of his own accord. If the culprit used some tactic to lure him out and grandfather left it of his own accord, then... Come to think of it, even Maria had said it, that we found the scorpion magic circle on the doorknob to the study. Beatrice couldn't get through this door. She might be able to induce someone to leave of their own accord.
In that case, that would mean we fell for the culprit's trap completely and sent out some new potential sacrifices.
Genji and the rest aren't fools. If they decide to protect themselves, they would quickly think of the next safest place after this room. They are surely hiding themselves there. Aunt Natsuki hadn't answered the question. She herself realized that if the culprit wasn't in this group, that letter could easily have been a trap. However, it wasn't worth the risk of calling back the people she had once thrown out. To Aunt Natsuki right now, her greatest and only duty was protect the children. And to that end, she was thinking a few sacrifices might be an unfortunate necessity. Hey, Aunt Natsuki, let me ask something a little difficult, alright? If by coincidence, Jessica also had been standing behind you at that time, would you have chased Jessica from the room too? Brother. Sure, there may have been a degree of cruelty to it, but as a mother, you thought you should protect your daughter no matter what. And it was out of that duty that you sent them out, fully aware you'd eventually be held responsible for it. I'm not trying to criticize you for it or anything. I was just thinking about what a great mother Jessica has. Yes. You've been dealing with these incidents since morning, and you've been pulling all of us together this whole time without losing your composure. If you had been as confused as the rest of us, every last one of us may have been in the culprit's grasp by now. So I think that we all have to thank you.
Thank you. So, what you're trying to say is this, right? You want her to act as Maria's mother too. I always thought of Maria as a real little sister and adored her. And yet, a bunch of things happened. We got a bit confused. And I said a lot of mean things to her and hurt her. Mom, please. Let's stay with Maria. No. With everyone. There was no culprit among us. Why can't the culprit behind all this just be the witch, Beatrix? So let's just stop doubting each other.
Aunt Natsuki closed her eyes for a short while. Was she coping with her throbbing headache again? Or was she thinking of something? Jessica, you are my precious daughter. The daughter I finally blessed with a whole 12 years after I married my husband. I would become the worst kind of demon to protect you.
Well, some pretty strong language at the end there. She realized very well that these were only words, but even so, she was strongly resolved to protect her daughter, even if she had to become a demon. But that was because she was tormented by guilt. Today had been a long day. So many things had happened in one day, and we had been put under such pressure. I wonder if we had the right degree tomorrow the way we are now. There it is. I found it. It's this magic circle. Within the book I had been constantly flipping through, I had finally found the same magic circle that had been drawn on the second sheet of the letter. Georgianiki peered at it as well. The magic circle's name was the Third Magic Circle of Mars. The Hebrew written on it was from the Old Testament, Book of Psalms, Psalm 77, verse 13. Okay, Google. Psalm 77, verse 13. Now give me the whole thing. Isn't that long? Let's read the whole thing. I cried unto God with my voice, even unto God with my voice, and he gave ear unto me. In the day of my trouble I sought the Lord. My soul ran in the night and ceased not. My soul refused to be confronted. I remembered God and was troubled. I complained and my spirit was overwhelmed. Salah. Thou holdest mine eyes waking. I am so troubled that I cannot speak. I have considered the days of old, the years of ancient times. I call to remembrance my song in the night. I commune with mine own heart, and mine spirit made diligent search. Will the Lord cast off forever? And will he be favorable no more? Is his mercy clean gone forever? Doth his promise fail forevermore? Hath God forgotten to be gracious? Hath he in anger shut up his tender mercies? And I said, this is my infirmity, but I will remember the years of the night hand of the Most High. I will remember the works of the Lord. Surely I will remember thy wonders of old. I will meditate also of all thy work and talk of thy doings. And now this verse 13. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Thou art the God that dost wonders. Thou hast declared thy strength among the people. Okay. Thy way, O God. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. Who is so great a God as our God? Interesting. God is in the sanctuary. I don't have the power to look too deeply into it, but with the mention of a sanctuary, it's obviously referring to Kinsel's study. That is the sanctuary. I will meditate also all of thy work and talk of thy doings. Thy way, O God, is in the sanctuary. So it's like the way to Beatrice is in Kinsel's study. That's as much as I can decipher for now. What God is so great as our God? Every single time they have read a verse from the magic circles, they have always like skipped over the important part. The important part of that verse is not who is so great as a God as our God. The important part is the way, O God, is in the sanctuary. That's the part that peaks. Not like, come on, Bachelor. The meaning of magic circle was discord. It ignites internal divisions and causes the enemy to bring about their own downfall. Whoa. Seriously? Could there be a more fitting way to describe our current situation and mental state? We couldn't help but be stunned into silence. So, this letter was a trap. How they put it there? There wasn't anyone in this room except us 8.
Anyway, let's ignore how they got it in here for now. The culprit was after just one thing. They wanted to spread the seeds of doubt inside this impregnable study and use us to throw the sacrificial sheep out. In that case, what they're after is the people who went out of the room.
Mom, what should we do? Those 4 are in danger.
It wasn't surprising that Aunt Natsuki remained unpleasantly silent. Even if this was all a trap by the culprit, even if the 4 who had been chased out of the room were in danger, it had nothing to do with the safety of the 4 people in here. And there was no way to prove the innocence of the 4 people we had kicked out. If we're willing to let them die, then we shouldn't leave this room no matter what. That way is safest. Just then, all of a sudden, the piercing sound of a phone rang through the room. What? But the phones were... It was the antique extension phone that was set out on Grandfather's study desk. It had started ringing right as we began this conversation. It was only natural that we would think of it as an SOS from the others we had kicked out. But then Aunt Natsuki spoke.
How can this telephone be? It should be broken, down and unusable.
That doesn't matter. If Desmaria and the others are calling for help.
If the problem with the phones was the culprit's work in the first place, then this phone call is... Ah, crap. Then this phone call is more than likely...
With that one sentence, the ring of the phone, which had sounded like a scream for help, started to sound like a ghastly summons for some unknown person. Aunt Natsuki hesitated over whether to pick up the receiver. Let's take it, Auntie. The phones might have been fixed for some reason. It could still be an urgent call from Maria-chan and the rest. It ain't Gaster, bro. It's Friend, the guy who called, spammed it and made him go insane. Oh gosh, That's right. And on the slight chance that this is a call from the killer, bring it on. Let him freaking talk. It's just a phone call. No matter what they babble through the receiver, it's not like it's gonna hurt you. If you won't pick it up, then I will. I will take it. Hello? I stretched out my hand to take the receiver, but Aunt Natsuki picked it up first, as if to say she had it under control. We all held our breath, trying to figure out who the person on the other end of the phone was. But for a while, Aunt Natsuki just kept saying hello. A silent phone call. There was no way Maria and the others would do something so creepy. Which means, this phone call might have possibly really... Natsuki stops repeating hello and strained her ears. Because she thought she heard something far away on the other end of the receiver. What was it?
Huh? Is someone... singing?
What do you mean, singing?
I don't know. Faintly, from the other end of the phone, I can hear someone singing. I wonder what it could be.
Give it here for a sec. Hello? I half forced the receiver from the stunned Aunt Natsui's hand and pressed it against my ear. At first I didn't hear anything. But because I had been told before about it beforehand, I noticed. Not in a quiet voice, but rather far away from the receiver. I could hear a girl singing a song. The voice sort of sounded like Maria's, but that just made the situation even more inexplicable. At the very least, the one who had made the phone call hadn't been Maria. After all, Maria was singing from some song far away from the receiver. In that case, the one who made the phone call should have been Genji-san, Kurosawa-san, or Dr. Nanjo. And yet, they weren't saying anything. Why? For what reason? Who was the person who made this phone call? Hey! Hello! Who is it? Answer me! Is that Maria singing? Answer me!
What's going on? What is it?
I don't know. All I can say is, this is probably a trap, and Maria's in trouble. Aunt Natsuki took the receiver again, but after calling into it several more times, she realized that she wasn't getting anywhere and hung up. She then dialed quickly, and clucked her tongue.
Alright, if the phones are back, we should be able to reach the police. But judging by her reaction, the outside line still wouldn't connect. Let's go. Even if we know it might be a trap, we have to go. Yeah, absolutely. Jessica, Aunt Natsuki, stay here. When Aniki and I tried to dash out, Aunt Natsuki stopped us. Just wait a minute. I cannot let you go alone. I will go too. Jessica, you wait here. And you have me be the only one left out. Not a chance. I'm coming too. Yeah, it may be better that way. If the goal of the phone call was for us to split up further, it wouldn't be a good idea to leave someone to watch this room. There's no time to argue. Let's all go. Aunt Natsuki raised the rifle high and took the lead. I needed a weapon myself as well. I found a 3-pronged candelabra which looked like it could be used for some strange ritual and armed myself with it. With the candles it had to fit the candles on. With the spikes it had to fit the candles on. Although they were short, it was more like a 3-pronged spear. And the four of us left the study. We left the study, which should have been the safest place inside the mansion, and so we had lured out. We have been lured out, despite the fact that we had barricaded ourselves in a safe locked room. Perhaps we were even repeating exactly the same series of events that had led to grandfather disappearing from here.
Maria! Where are you? Answer me!
I listened closely but didn't hear anything. The mansion was vast, and the sound of the rain even noisier than before, as if the passing typhoon was making its last stand. Maria-chan has said that she wanted to watch TV in the parlor, right? Let's try going downstairs. Yes, good idea. Everyone be mindful of your surroundings. Yeah. With Onatsuki in the center, her rifle ready and her finger on the trigger, we moved in a group, our backs together, checking our surroundings in all directions, as though the power of the magic circle designed to spread discord had brought it all into being. We had split up and furthermore had been dragged into dangerous territory. In other words, even now in this very moment, we were doing just what the culprit wanted us to do. This was now a strange space where it wouldn't be odd for anything to suddenly occur. Aunt Natsuki nervously pointed the barrel of the gun at every dark spot and shadow. It felt like the notion was out of fear rather than caution. But the rifles she held in her hand would surely be a trump card that the killer was afraid of. You know, I've been thinking, it wouldn't be impossible to stick one of those ice picks into someone's chest like in Kanunkin's case, but splitting the skull and sticking them into the forehead like it was with my parents wouldn't be that easy. You think the culprit had that kind of animal strength? They probably had some kind of weapon, a device that can shoot or pound those ice picks. That handle was too short to be driven in that deeply by human strength alone. Whatever the case, they have enough force to break through a skull. It seems that Kanun's wound will even reach his lungs. Even if you see our opponent, do not step out in front. You must not move away from my back. Just how sinister and frightening was this weapon that could shoot those creepy ice picks? And could I do anything to combat it with just this candlestick in my hand? In the first murder, the culprit had probably assaulted four of our parents at once as they discussed the inheritance problem in the dining hall. And we also had 4 people. Apparently it wasn't the only person thinking this. George-aniki, Jessica, and of course Aunt Natsuki were stretching their senses to the utmost limits, and the highest and worst state of tension, slowly advancing one step then another. What sinful people we are. A world as terrifying as this, and we pushed Maria and the rest right into the middle of it, just because of these seeds of doubt spread by that single letter. We finally reached the first floor. The parlor was just across the hall. When we listened carefully, we could hear it faintly. Maria's eerie singing voice. She wasn't singing naturally, as though she were in a good mood. She was singing mechanically, as if she was in music class in school and had been ordered to sing. The song she was singing was just a common folk song, one that everyone has probably sung in school at one time or another. But why that, in the middle of the night alone, with all of her heart, over and over? Why? When we had just left the study, we had called out in loud voices asking Maria where she was, but this time no one said even a single word. We hid our breath, and the sound of our footsteps heightened all of our senses and examined everywhere around us to a neurotic degree as we advanced each step. The door to the parlor was closed, but we could hear Maria singing through it. Aunt Natsuki put her hand on the handle of the doorknob. George-aniki stopped her.
I'll open the door. On Natsuhi, Butler-kun, ready your weapons.
Alright. Be careful. They might attack as soon as we open it. George-san, watch yourself.
Sure. Okay then. Here we go.
He tried to open it, but immediately felt the hard resistance of the lock. Aunt Natsuhi took the bundle of keys from her pocket and gave them to George. There were about 10 keys, and none of us had a clue which was which. Because of this, George had to fumble around loudly and test several keys. Since we had hidden our footsteps preparing to make a surprise attack on the room, this felt almost fatal. The whole time we could hear Maria's voice from the parlor singing the same song over and over. It was like a broken, crazy cassette tape. In the morning, we had been in that room the whole time. All of the frightening things that had occurred outside that room. So we had convinced ourselves that even if nowhere else could be trusted, that room alone was safe. That baseless impression was quickly falling apart.
It unlocked.
Thank you. George-kun, Jessica, move behind me. Auntie, let's all jump in at once, split up in different directions. If we just stand around after opening the door, those ice picks might fly right through the center. I'm well aware. Ready? Actually, I kinda wish I could call it quits. I readied myself. If they're going to throw ice picks at me, we'll see how they like my candlestick. Go! Aunt Natsuki and I rammed into the door as we flew into the parlor, quickly splitting up left and right and searching the parlor from someone who might be waiting for us. But what our eyes landed upon was an altogether outlandish scene. That's Maria on the right, or at least her bag. The parlor was stained with blood. This place, where we had spent almost the entire day, where we had pressed in together to protect ourselves from some unknown malice, had become stained with fresh blood, had become an ocean of blood. On the floor lay Genji-san, Kumasawa-san, and Dr. Nanjo, their entire bodies stained bright red with blood. But the only way we could identify them was by their clothes. That was because... Oh, that's right. This was how this whole tragedy started. Their faces were all mashed up like that and the others in the storehouse, and you couldn't even tell where their eyes and noses were. It was like someone had vulgarly gobbled apart a tomato pot stew, wrapped it in a pie crust, all gloopy and sloppy. Oh! And that wasn't all. Their bodies had other wounds. They were those demons' ice picks. Stomach, knee, leg. They were in Genji-san's stomach, Dr. Nanjo's thigh. No. His knee? Yeah, it would be his knee. In the epitaph, the 6th twilight was the stomach. And on the 7th twilight, it said to gotch the knee. So after seeing one of them stuck near Kumasawa Bachan's calf, I couldn't help masochistically laughing. Yeah, of course it would be. On the 6th twilight, gouge the stomach and kill. On the 7th twilight, gouge the knee and kill. On the 8th twilight, gouge the leg and kill. Now even the 8th twilight is over. And the next one, the 9th twilight, what was it again? The birth of Beatrice? So I guess the riddle wasn't a riddle, it was just literal. I find that lame, but maybe there's some twist, like that it wasn't meant to be taken literally. There was a metaphorical way to solve it without no one needing to die. But Kinso or Maria read it too literally and started killing people. I don't know. For now, just let them cook. Let them cook. But I want to see characters. Jeez, everyone's dead. Nanjo Teramasa, found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed into his thigh and his face smashed. On the 7th twilight, gouged the knee and kill. Runaway Genji, found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed to his stomach, and his face smashed. On the sixth twilight, gouged the stomach and kill. Kumasawa Chio, found in the parlor with a weapon resembling an ice pick having been rammed to her calf and her face smashed. On the eighth twilight, gouged the leg and kill. Maria was there. Beatrice is going to be reborn in Maria's body. This is also the death of Maria. She was facing the far wall, standing stock still, completely alone. Facing away from this horrible scene, standing in front of the wall, singing her song over and over. There was nothing else in the room. Just the corpses of the three who had been brutally killed, and the receiver still off its hook, showing that it had been this room that the call had come from. Just that and Maria, her back to the scene, facing the wall as she kept on singing. We couldn't even scream at this bizarre scene. We could only stare shocked, our mouths hanging loosely open. Maria? Jessica called out to her, but Maria showed no reaction. Alone, she kept singing on and on. We had come here trying to save Maria from some approaching danger. So now that we had found her, she should have been running up to her, hugging her, joyous that she was safe. And yet, not one of us could do that. Everyone thought it, but they couldn't say it, after all. Because, that's right, it's crazy. And yet, but no, it couldn't be. Maria, stop singing! Are you listening? At some point, Aunt Natsuki and I pointed our weapons at Maria's back. I yelled at Maria in a violent voice, but there was no reaction. She just kept singing. With the candlestick still ready, I ran up to her and violently slammed my head down on her shoulder. Then I pulled her on her shoulder, forcing her to turn around. Maria's small body was quickly pulled down and fell. And as though unhappy about how her singing had been interrupted, she looked into my face with her usual expression. Even in this gruesome situation, she was just like normal. Maria, what the hell is this? Who did this?
Who? Beatrice!
Enough of that bullshit! I threw the candlestick I had been holding against the wall. The violence of that reckless sound should have gone straight into Maria's heart, but her expression didn't change at all. Badr-kun, stop! Maria-chan, this time you should have seen the face of the culprit who killed these three. Was the culprit the same Beatrice who gave you the letter?
Who? Beatrice!
Well, now we know for sure. There is a 19th person. Beatrice does exist. Then Maria, I'm sure you'll tell me this at least. How did they kill these three people? What the hell did they do to them to kill them in such a brutal way?
Don't know.
How could you not know? It happened in this room. Are you trying to tell me you were so absorbed in singing that song that you didn't even notice? Calm down, Badler-kun. Maria-chan. Let's you and me have a chat. Okay? George Anikian, as he always did, crouched down next to Maria so that their eyes met and talked to her very kindly. Maria-chan, could you tell me why you were facing the wall and singing that song?
Beatrice had to face the wall and she was singing for a long time.
So Beatrice came here then? Genji-san and the rest were still alive at that point, right?
We all came to the parlor together and sat down. Genji-san made sure to lock the door.
It was locked when we got here. But then, how did Beatrice get into the parlor?
But Beatrice is a witch so locks don't matter. She turned into butterflies and came in through the crack in the door.
Huh? Give it a rest with your goddamn jokes. Like hell that happened. What is going on about?
You can't believe it. That's why I didn't want to say. Even if I tell you, you won't believe. But Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her strange magic. That's why Beatrice doesn't care whether a door is locked or not.
And then, after Beatrice appeared, what happened to everyone?
Beatrice talked to us. She said grandfather's study was protected by a powerful force and she couldn't enter no matter what she did. So she told us she'd select the 3 sacrifices from the 4 people in the parlor. They all begged her not to. Kumasawa-san kept saying, please, please don't. But Beatrice chose, and when she did, she said I would be fine. Why do you think? It's because I had the scorpion charm with that 5th magic circle of Mars upon which Battler prayed for my safety and which he put his feelings into. Because of that power, Beatrice couldn't do anything to me and me alone. So she decided to use the other 3 for the sacrifices, and then she said this to me. Come, face the wall and sing a old song for me. You will sing lots and lots of songs, so no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, you won't hear, you won't hear, you won't know. Come, let me hear many fun songs. So I was singing the whole time, over and over, so I didn't hear anything, didn't know anything, and then all of you came.
You expect me to believe that crap? Don't take me for a moron.
Then who will you suspect this time? Suspect me? Try killing me right here? Even if you do that, Beatrice won't stop existing. Now the 8th twilight is over and Beatrice will revive.
No, she fucking won't. I'm done with your shit. I've had enough, last me a I've had enough to last me a lifetime. There's no such thing as witches. That crap won't work on me. I won't accept it. Beatrice doesn't exist. I'll never accept that she does. So I won't let her exist. I won't let her revive. The legend's a legend, and that's all it is ever going to be. I won't accept something like that.
Butler, stop! It's not like Maria killed them or let them die. But Beatrice came and Maria had to obey, unable to resist.
Huh? Aunt Natsuhi? She isn't here. Nah, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. The riddle's this. It says that none shall be left alive, but no, 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 not like that, not like that, not like that, not like that. No, no, she's too got it. She's too got it. 1 second, I got a DM, but she won't die. She won't die. She won't die. Huh? What?
Mom? Where'd she go? She went out by herself just now, reading a letter.
Letter? That makes sense. The culprit's done with the 8th twilight and it's all gone swimmingly for them. They might well have left a letter so they could brag even more. We had been so wrapped up in questioning Maria that we forgot to look for one. But even as well armed as she was, why had she left the room all by herself in this dangerous mansion after reading it? Jessica tried to chase after her and tugged at her at the handle to the door, but it resisted strangely and wouldn't open.
Mom! Mom! What's going on? Open the door!
It was only natural. Natsui had picked up the candlestick which Battler had thrown at the wall and which had fallen to the floor. She had then skillfully wedged it between the doorknob and the double doors like a bolt holding them closed. The intricate design of the candlestick made and jammed well and from the truly sturdy seal on the door. The tragic scream of a daughter for her mother. Did it reach Natsui's ears or not? Dead angle? Dude, don't do this to me. What's happening? I don't like this. Okay. 1 second. Alright, I'm scared. I'm scared. This might be the last stream ever. Natsui was alone in the entrance hall. It was the place where the portrait of Beatrice had been hung. Natsui threw down the final letter from Beatrice as she had read in the parlor, readied her rifle again, and in a voice that rang clear, yelled out in the massive space that was the entrance hall. I am Ushinomiya Natsuhi, representative of the Ushinomiya family. Show yourself, Golden Witch Beatrice! The entrance hall was dimly lit. Other than a faint light which shone in the center of the room, everything was blotted out by the jet-black darkness. Oh my gosh. Okay, if she dies while being an absolute gnarly, like, standing up to Beatrice, like having a talk with her, I won't uninstall. I will not uninstall. But if she dies like Kanon, then we uninstall. In that darkness, butterflies glittering in gold squirmed, twinkled, and sneered. Natsui gave one more huge gulp and pointed the cold barrel of the gun at the gold butterflies. At last, you have shown yourself. I still can't believe it. That something like you really existed. But that isn't a problem. Both I, bearing the title of representative of the Ushinomiya family, and you, claiming to have succeeded the head of the Ushinomiya family, are here right now. At this point, whether you are a witch or not is a trivial problem. Come, let us settle this. Which of us will truly succeed the Ushinomiya family? Me, Ushinomiya Natsuhi, or you, Golden Witch Beatrice? Allow me to respectfully accept your request for a duel. The gold butterfly slowly formed a human shape which walked into the dim light. Natsuhi readied the rifle and glared. The witch raised her golden staff overhead and laughed. Natsumi's finger slowly squeezed the trigger. And go! Butler made an all-out dash to the door and rammed into it, crushing the candlestick which had been barring it, and making it possible for a big gap to be opened in the door. He kept kicking the candlestick through that gap, and the door was finally released. At that time they heard it. They clearly heard just once the crisp sound of gunfire. Mom! Mom! Jessica-chan, you mustn't run off by yourself. That was the sound of a gun just now. Why not do he just shot? At who? At the culprit. The noise had come from the entrance hall. And the entrance hall looked like a stage. Like the heroine of a tragedy laying down and bathed in light. Arrayed in the beauty of that silence, Aunt Natsuhi was faced up, crumbled on the floor. Half crazed, Jessica ran up to Aunt Natsuhi. On her forehead, it was almost as though a sparkling shard of pigeon's blood ruby had been placed there. And from it, a single stream of blood makeup passed by her eyes and began to traverse her face. The faint smell of gunpowder smoke came from the barrel of the rifle. Aunt Natsuhi still grasped. Huh? Then she shot herself in the forehead? Why? Mom! No! I don't get it. Why did Auntie run away alone? Why did she shoot through her own forehead? Maria-chan, Aunt Natsuhi read a letter before she left the room, right? There's no letter here. Damn it. What did she read and why was she lured out here? I don't know. Who cares about that? What the hell? Why suicide? Why? Why did you leave me alone? No! Jessica clung to her mother's corpse, crying earnestly. My body consumed by an anger I didn't know what to do with, I stole the rifle from Aunt Natsui's hand and spun it around, pointing the barrel of the gun into the darkness on all sides as though I was pointing a light from the lighthouse trying to find the culprit. George Aniki, even in the situation, was trying to calmly figure out something, but that effort might have been doomed to futility. And Maria alone was completely indifferent. Is she treating this as some kind of predetermined fate? No, that's not it. This is all a prelude to a wonderful world. The doors of the Golden Land will finally open.
On the ninth twilight, witch revives, and none shall be left alive. And on the 10th twilight, the journey ends, and you shall reach the home of the gold. It's all over now, Beatrice. Congratulations, congratulations. So lend me to the Golden Land you told me of, right now.
There, all of the dead will be resurrected, and even the love they once possessed will be revived. So in Maria's eyes, it was just as though all of today's tragedies never even happened. And all those days she spent deprived of love never really happened either. You cut that out. What's so fun? What's to be congratulated? There were 18 people on this island. 14 are dead. Only the 4 of us are left. I'm definitely not gonna die. Until the night is over, no. Until the typhoon passes and the seagulls gather again at the harbor. I'm definitely not gonna die. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna survive, definitely.
Give it up, Battler. Guns are meaningless against batteries. Besides, survival and everything else doesn't matter now because it's over. The journey has already ended. See, look at the clock.
Huh? The clock? Hearing those words, I looked at my wristwatch. Both hands were almost touching near the top. Very soon it would be 12 a.m. In other words, 24 o'clock. When you think about it, isn't 24 o'clock a strange time? It can be called 24 o'clock, and it can also be called 0 o'clock. It's the hour of the culmination of the previous day, and at the same time, it is hour 0 as the next day begins.
Batteries!
Maria suddenly called out happily and ran towards the darkness. It was almost as though Beatrice was somewhere in the darkness and Maria was running up to her. As I looked down at the barrel of the rifle, as Jessica hugged her mother's corpse, as George Aniki stood there shocked, we gazed into the darkness. Our eyes fixed just in front of Beatrice's portrait, and there Maria leapt into a hug with the portrait's subject. You've got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. Impossible. This madness can possibly be. Witches don't exist. I won't accept it. Things like you must not exist, because this is a human world. You think I could accept something that's not human? Never! I will never! I pulled hard on the rifle's lever. The cartridge was ejected, full on the floor, and a new cartridge was loaded. Then I sighted the witch down the barrel. Maria turned around. She clinging to the golden witch, she turned around.
Didn't I tell you it's meaningless? Mere lead bullets are meaningless against batteries. Humans are so stupid, aren't they?
I won't accept the existence of witches. Who are you? Just try moving one step, just try moving one finger. I'll blast you away. Oops. The laughter of the witch. No, the witches was joined by the laughter of even the large clock in the hall. It was proudly telling us that the time was 24 o'clock. It was both a tone telling us that we had reached the culmination of this day, and a tone informing us that all had returned to nothingness. The rules had specified that the witch would win when time ran out.
Battler, Yorjoni-chan and Jessica Oni-chan, the journey has ended, and the witch has revived, you see? And none shall be left alive. The witch shall praise the wise and bestow 4 treasures. One shall be the Golden Land's gold. One resurrects all the dead people's souls. One even revives all the love they possessed, and one for the witch to eternally rest. Rest in peace, my beloved witch, Beatrice.
No! No, no, no! No! No, 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 no. No. Buddy. Notebook pages in a wine bottle? What? What? The storm passed, and the leading clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long began to clear away. Sunbeams shone from the rifts between the clouds. Yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again, and they let the lively cries be heard. Afterwards, the police arrived and conducted the investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children who are believed to have survived until the very end were never found. However, from the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginable gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, including the children, were hopelessly dim. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the golden land. Those tales are for them alone to tell amongst themselves. They have no tale for those who arrived after the banquet had ended. One can only but imagine what transpired during the course of those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind the tale which had no need to be told and permitted it to be spread. A few years later, a strange wine bottle drifted onto the waves on the side of a neighborhood island and recovered by a fisherman. Stuffed inside was tightly rolled notebook pages, a common full of pages, minuscule writing. We didn't hear it was a tale. It would be through the pages that people would find, come to realization of the mysterious and beginning of October 1986. This incident would later be referred to the Rokenjiwa as which is a case. Later, the occult claimed to be the stories of the immortal ritual that zero the land. Not one of these interpretations survive the truth of facts. And while the notebook page is full of mysterious incidents, they do not tell the truth behind it. In fact, we are not even aware of the notebook near the truth. Perhaps she may have desired to know. According to the writer's signature, her name was Ushiramiya Maria. Furthermore, as a result of an all-out police search, part of Maria's body was been discovered. Part of her jaw. It was one of the rare instances where the owner of the body part was super different to the many parts that could be linked to the because the jaw had been described in the body, the police decided to honestly dim. Let's conclude the tale with the one paragraph. The pages of by the time you read this, I will probably be dead. Although there are many corpses who read this, please uncover the truth. That is my only wish. Ushiramiya Maria. To the very end, the truth of the witch legend serial murder case has not been brought to light. Why did it scroll so fast? First game, Legend of the Golden Witch Result. Ushiramiya Kraus died on the first twilight. Joseph the key sacrifice. Joseph the key going to sacrifice. Ushiramiya Rose. Joseph the key going to sacrifice. Died on the second twilight. First pierced by the stake of Amodius. Ushiramiya Hideyoshi died on the second twilight. First pierced by the stake of Beelzebub. Ushiramiya it's funny. Wait, what the? They didn't say this. Mammoth Satan. No. Wait. That all that has connections. Okay. The witch batteries of violence under the lounge. Which nobody granted in honor of the duel. She never George on the 10th. Gang, I'm gonna let this credits end, and I'm gonna watch my stream so I can read this properly because this is going too fast. You lost. Congrats. GG's. Try again, bro. You picked the wrong options. Yeah. Okay. And let's just enjoy the music now. For now, I'll go back on my stream to read properly because they didn't say that the stakes were based off the 7 princes of hell. That's gotta be important. GG's. A new trophy! Yo! New elements added. The Golden Witch has prepared a gift in commemoration of your recent sojourn. The new element may be accessed from the title screen. What in the world is all of this? Music box. It's just a soundtrack? Oh. That's a lot of music. Holy cow. Picture box. Is this just all the CG screens? Yeah. Is this the only one? No, what about the Natsuhi shotgun scenes? That's really the only one we have. Oh, no, okay. There you go. Secret? What do you mean secret? Where's my mouse? Okay. Tea party. What? Purgatorio. Huh? What? Hey everyone, good job finishing Umineko no Nakokoro ni. Man, I still don't have a clue what was going on when the story ended. Wait, this is so cute. This is so cute. I like this. I like this a lot. A lot of older animes used to do this, like during the endings.
So, what just happened? Was that basically the bad ending where time runs out before the culprit can be exposed?
Wait, continuation? This is a bit later. If not, next stream. Can I not access episode 2 until I finish the tea party? Don't answer, I'm gonna find out. Oh wait, what? Oh, you can just... I see, I thought they... Okay, you can just skip ahead if you want. Oh, no, you can remove it by yourself. Just in case, like, you know, for any reason. But the lock will remove itself once you truly finish an episode, which means I haven't truly finished episode 1, which means I need to finish the tea party. I see. So I need to do tea party first, before episode 2. Got it. Please pull up a seat and wind down. Was your sojourn on Rokenjima a pleasant one? The Golden Witch has gifted you with an invitation to her tea party. I hope that you will participate. Wait, crap. How can I look at the tips? I suppose during the tea party. While I read the tips, how long is the tea party? Is it realistic to be able to do the tea party right now in this stream before I completely die from exhaustion? Yes, cool. I'm gonna leave it on that screen, but I would rather see it on the actual credits, so I'm gonna look up my own stream on YouTube. I'm gonna read all of it. I'm gonna read all the credits because obviously in my Rap God section I have the things I couldn't process. I'll put it on stream. One sec. Just so you don't stare at this. 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, we'll leave it for next stream. We'll start next stream with the tea party. No happiness, no joy right now. Only sad. I can ponder about that ending.
Where's Firefox? There it is. Get off, chat. No, you know what? Y'all can see yourselves over there. Too slow. Okay. The storm passed, and the leaden clouds that had enshrouded the island for so long began to clear away. Sunbeams shone from the rifts between the clouds. Yesterday's storm seemed like a lie. Just as someone had wished, the seagulls returned to the harbor once again and let their lively cries be heard. Hi, YouTube. Afterwards, the police arrived and conducted an investigation of the scene. The corpses of the children, who are believed to have survived until the very end, were never found. However, from the body parts that were discovered and the unimaginably gruesome nature of the scene, the police were forced to conclude that the chances of survival for any of the 18, including the children, were hopelessly dim. It's just... this is, like, flabbergasted. This is not the ending I expected at all? Like, at all? I'm very curious how this game is gonna continue. Like, it's either that, you know, they did survive and Beatrice did take them to this golden land where the 4 kids are gonna continue the story. But, like, part of me is kinda expecting a time travel plot. Like, we're gonna return back to the first Twilight and see if we can do things differently. I doubt it, but it's like the first thing that my mind goes to. Like Groundhog's Day. And the riddle not actually like being a riddle. I'm ticked off about that so bad. I'm so mad about that. Just how gruesome was the banquet of the witch, and how beautiful was the golden land. Those tales are for them alone to tell amongst themselves. They have no tale for those who arrived after the banquet had ended. One can only but imagine what transpired during the course of those 2 days. However, the witch was fickle. She made a point of leaving behind this tale, which had no need to be told, and permitted it to spread. A few years later, a strange wine bottle drifted on the waves on the quayside of a neighboring island was recovered by a fisherman. Stuffed inside were tightly rolled notebook pages, crammed full of the edges with minuscule writing. Written here was the tale, and it would be through these pages that people would first come to know the nature of the mysterious and riddle-filled 2-day period that began on October 4, 1986. This incident would later be referred to as the Ronkenjima mass murders, or the 18 killings of Ronkenjima, but dilettantes around the world passed the story on under the name of the Witch Legend serial murder case. Horrible name. Absolutely horrible name. Legend lovers of the occult claimed it to be the sorry result of an immortal ritual that sealed off the island and savagely embellished on the mysterious 2-day span their own interpretations as they spread it far and wide. However, not one of these interpretations arrived at the truth of the facts. And while the notebook pages tell of this mysterious incident, they do not tell the truth behind it. In fact, perhaps not even the writer of the notebook knew the truth. Perhaps she may have desired to know. According to the writer's signature, her name was Ushiromiya Maria. That was 6. I was wondering if the little portraits they're showing were like the 9 circles of hell, but there's only 6 or 7 of them. You know, since we were going, you know, we're descending, I thought we were going down the circles of hell. And also, the tea party is called Purgatorio, which is the second book of the Divine Comedy. Meaning that episode 1 would be Dante's Inferno. The tea party, or if there's multiple tea parties, all the tea parties would be Dante's Purgatorio. And then the last, like, 3 episodes, the answer episodes, would be Dante's Paradiso. Furthermore, as a result of an all-out police search, part of Maria's body has been discovered, a piece of her jaw. It was one of the rare instances where the owner of a body part was able to be identified through dental records. There were many parts that could not be linked to any specific person in that gruesome scene, so the jaw could be called an extremely fortunate find. Because the jaw had been separated from its body, the police considered her chances of survival to be hopelessly dim, even though no other parts were found or identified. Yeah, I don't think most could survive, getting their jaw ripped out. Let us conclude this tale with the final paragraphs of the notebook pages that Ushinomiya Maria left behind. By the time you read
this, I will probably be dead. Although there may or may not be a corpse, you who have read this, please uncover the truth. That is my only wish. Ushinomiya Maria.
What truth and why? Why would she want that? I guess it's to spread the story of Beatriz, because if they're all dead, Beatriz's story dies with them. So Maria would want her story to be spread around, and that's why people want to uncover the truth. If the rest of the game is like another protagonist, like new characters coming to the island to investigate what happened during this night, I'm sure they're gonna cook and I'm sure it's gonna be fun. But like as a concept, just telling me the concept right now, I would not enjoy that. Because I'm gonna miss everyone, and obviously like everything I've heard is just Battler, right? I knew that Battler was the protagonist, so suddenly knowing that the Umineko community has done such a great job to hide such a massive spoiler that each episode has a different protagonist, or that it's just a completely different protagonist altogether and Battler was just a red herring, that would be insane to find out. But I don't know. If that's the case, I'm gonna let them cook. But outright, I wouldn't like it. OMG, like in Olympus Company, right? That's what you were referencing. Yeah, that's exactly right. To this very day, the truth of the Witch Legend serial murder case has not been brought to light. First game, Legend of the Golden Witch result. Ushinomiya Kraus died on the first twilight, chosen by the key to the Golden Land and sacrifice. Ushinomiya Rudolph died on the first twilight, chosen by the key to the Golden Land and sacrificed. That's another thing, we didn't like find out anything. We don't know who killed anyone still. Like fine, I'll accept that Beatriz killed everyone after the first twilight, but who was the first twilight? Who's the key? So there's still questions to be answered. Ushinomiya Rosa, Ushinomiya Kairi, Servant Shonon, Servant Goda. They were all chosen by the key. Died on the first twilight, chosen by the key to the Golden Land and sacrifice. Now here's what I find interesting. Why didn't they reference that each of the stakes were named after the 7 princes of hell? That is like insane lore that you just save for the credits. Am I stupid? Was I supposed to know that? Did I just miss that completely? Because I'm flabbergasted. Because this is interesting. Not much to yap about because it's like super self-explanatory. It's obvious, but I still want to say it. So, Ushinomiya Eva died on the second twilight, forehead pierced with the stake of Asmodeus. Asmodeus is the prince of lust. So, does Eva really fit the description? I mean, she's kind of a sultry character, but I wouldn't call her lustful. Maybe it's like more metaphorical because she was lusting after power, right? But like, no, she should be the stake of Lucifer. Lucifer is the prince of envy. She was extremely envious of Natsuhi. Why is she Asmodeus and not Lucifer? Weird. But yeah, I guess you can see it metaphorically as lustful for power. But also, what I think they were trying to say is that the fact that she tried so hard to have a child before Natsuhi, right? That is an act of lust, I suppose. So that's why Asmodeus was chosen for her. But I don't know. Kinda odd. Ushinomiya Hideyoshi died on the second twilight, forehead pierced by the stake of Beelzebub. Beelzebub is wrath? No, Satan is wrath. Beelzebub is gluttony? I think it's gluttony. Again, it's like they're choosing these stakes off appearances. Like Eva looks like a sultry character, so lust, and Hideyoshi was a hefty fella, so gluttony. But I don't know. But if we're gonna give them credit and look at it metaphorically, then gluttony was always supposed to be the sin of I'm ending stream, brother. Alright, buddy. Okay. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna continue now. Gluttony is a sin. Like, when you think gluttony, you think food related. And, you think that's like the literal meaning of gluttony, which is eating, too much eating. But the actual meaning of gluttony is overconsumption. People confuse greed and gluttony a lot. Greed is specifically the want of having things for yourself, even if you're not going to use them. Like, you could have more money than you could ever use in your life, and you still want to keep it all instead of sharing it. That's greed. Greed isn't just about money. It's like, I'm going to buy all the chocolate in the store. I'm not going to be able to eat all this chocolate. This chocolate will definitely go bad by the time I even scratch the surface of it. But I would rather that than see it be shared among other people. That's greed. Gluttony is, I'm going to buy all this chocolate and eat it. I'm going to have all this money and spend it all. I'm gonna buy and buy and buy things. Gluttony is the sin of overconsumption. So I don't really see that in Hideyoshi. Like, Hideyoshi was like a greedy person, I guess. He was trying to be bigger, even though he already had a successful enterprise. He wanted more. That's why he wanted more money. So I guess someone could say he was over-consuming because he was already successful even without the Ushiromiya money, and still he wanted more. So he was over-consuming there. Ushiromiya Kinso, dead in the fourth twilight, for head gouged by the stake of Maimon. Maimon, that's greed. That's greed, and it makes sense. Kinso was the head of a very fortunate family. It's not like he really shared his money. Like, he shared it with his family, but I mean, no. These are weird. These are weird. These are very weird. I have to be missing something, because most of them, like, kinda make sense, like, on a surface level, but when you look deeper in it, like, you would give Maimon to Kinso because he's the richest guy here and he has a lot of money, and that's greedy, I guess. But he funded an orphanage. He gave money to his family. That's the opposite of a greedy person. A greedy person would keep all that money to themselves. But let's see. He was greedy because greedy is also a form of selfishness, and he was a very selfish man because he only cared about Beatrice. He literally could not care less if his family died. He just wanted to see Beatrice. That is very selfish. So I guess if you see greed as selfishness, then it makes sense. I'm happy with that. Servant Kanon died on the fifth twilight, chest gouged by the stake of Satan. Satan is wrath. I suppose he was an angry fella. I'm not sure about that. Wait, who's Vanity? There's not enough for the 7 princes, is there? Oh, Kurosawa. Wait, no. I got them mixed up. Okay. Asmodeus is definitely lust. Lucifer is envy. Leviathan is wrath, I believe. That's... Dofagor is sloth. Who's Vanity? I straight up forgot which one is Vanity. Which one of them would fit Vanity? Goda would fit Vanity the most, but he died in the first twilight. Okay, let's see. Because if Kurosawa is Leviathan, and Leviathan is Wrath, she is like the opposite of Wrath. So no, I think I'm wrong about that. I think Satan is Wrath. I think that makes the most sense. Let me crack my brain a little bit here. No, I remember now. My problem is that I did the cardinal sin of confusing envy with vanity. Lucifer is vanity. Or, yes, Lucifer is vanity. Leviathan is envy. Okay, I remember now. No worry, okay. Sorry, I made a lapse. Okay, so let us start from the beginning, not all the gaps though. So Asmodeus is lost with Eva. I guess it makes sense because she wanted to rush having a child and she was lustful after more power. Although I really think she should have been Lucifer. 100% she should have been Lucifer. Like, she was the most envious person here. No, wait. Lucifer is pride. Leviathan. Eva should have been Leviathan. Okay. Hideyoshi, Beelzebub. Beelzebub is gluttony. I guess it makes sense. Kinso, Maimon, greed. We already went over that. I guess it makes sense. I guess not really. Satan is wrath. That one just doesn't make sense. Like, what were they cooking? What were they cooking? Is there any meaning to these at all? Kanon was not. Like, he was like the most composed person there. I think what they're trying to say is that he held darkness in his heart that he never showed. Like, he kind of showed it, right? When Shannon died, and he was like, it should have been Natsuki or whatever else he was blaming it on. Like, I guess that's wrathful. Wrathful is just another word for hate. He held hate in his heart. Like, there was other scenes, I don't remember. There were other scenes where he showed signs of it. So, yeah, these are just way too broad and subtle. I'm not smart enough for it, okay? But, like, if I think about it too hard, I can find it. This one I'm gonna have such a hard time finding, though. Lucifer is pride. Lucifer is vanity. How was Genji that at all? No. Prideful. Okay, again, it's so hard for me to distinguish envy and vanity. I'm really bad at that. But now, hard block between them. Lucifer's pride. Genji was prideful. He was the head of the servants. He found extreme confidence and pride in his work, and he possibly thought that he could do no wrong. He was the perfect servant. So never mind, it makes sense. He was very prideful. So, makes sense. And now, Nanjo, sloth? Yes, that makes sense. Sloth is laziness, but not just laziness. It's the sin of stillness. It's the sin of enactment. Nanjo never truly helped anyone. He was an observer. He was a spectator. So sloth fits him perfectly. Nanjo was just a spectator throughout everything. He didn't really offer much help besides, trying to save the people, which he could never do. So, the sin of being a spectator, sloth, Belphegor, fits. And now, envy, Leviathan. For Kumasawa. No? This one truly is gonna break me. I don't get how Kumasawa was envious of anything. Like, envious of the youth? Envious that she's old? I don't know about that one. Like, all the other ones I could find something deep down. But envy for Kumasawa? I mean, okay. All of the other stakes haven't been, like... They're not... This is my problem. I overthink, like the riddle. I overthunk it to hell and back when it was just literally a death list about how they were gonna die. So, there's not... These stakes are not revealing some hidden meaning about the characters. They're just finding one aspect of them and placing them on a deadly sin, even though that wasn't their whole character. So, like, Eva was a sultry looking character, so she's lost. Hideyoshi was a hefty fella, so he's gluttony. Kinso had a lot of money, so he's greed. Kanon showed signs of not being very grateful towards the family or wishing death upon others, so he's wrath. Genji was very proud about his work, so he's pride. Nanjo didn't help much, so he's sloth. Kurosawa had a few lines about, oh, the power of youth, so she's envy, because she envied the youth. I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that makes sense. That was fun. I liked it a lot. My mind was completely flabbergasted when I saw those names in the credits. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let every credits play by now because I need to put more thought into those. And I hate Ruby. And I hope they explode right now. The witch Beatrice revived in the ninth twilight. She will finally open the doors of the Golden Land. Ushiromiya Natsuhi died on the ninth twilight. The witch praised her nobility and granted her the honor of a duel. Because of that, we're not uninstalling. We're not uninstalling because of that. She got the most goated death out of everyone. Please be a time travel story. Let her return, please. Ushiromiya George, missing on the 10th twilight, accepted the witch, prostrated himself, and was invited to the Golden Land. Ushiromiya Jessica, missing on the 10th twilight, accepted the witch, prostrated herself, and was invited to the Golden Land. Ushiromiya Maria, missing on the 10th twilight, accepted the witch, Ushiromiya Butler, missing on the 20th twilight. He denies the existence of the witch. Will she invite him to the Golden Land? Tomato explosions, good, yes. Chick Tomato Land. Oh my god! She's so beautiful! Oh my gosh! Wait, this art is phenomenal! Ah, dude, her dress is so pretty! That really was like a really super sawed-off rifle. Low stock, no long barrel. Awesome. Oh, she's so pretty, dude. This can't be the last of her. This is gonna be a time travel story. Trust, she's gonna return. Oh my gosh, the other panels. Beatrice! Her face! I mean, Natsuki's face. She's so pretty! Oh, wait. The game said she raised up her staff. She only has her pipe. Oh my gosh, her smile. Oh, that's no, she's gonna return, dude. She's going to return. Trust. She's going to return. Oh, this is so good. This is phenomenal. I've seen all the ones you sent. Dude. Who's the artist? This art is phenomenal. Her dress is so big. Dude. I love dresses like these. I hate tight dresses. I hate tight dresses or flowy dresses. I'm lying about that. I really like them. They're pretty. But it's just, my favorite dresses are ballroom dresses. The really big, bulbous ones. Those are so pretty. And they drew them so well here. How can she even walk anywhere? Gorgeous. That's amazing. What is he typing? The manga art changes every episode. Oh, that's a cool gimmick. I like that. Well, I hope I can see more panels as I do the other episodes. Thank you for sharing that. Very good. Oh, she's gonna return, dude. It's gonna be a time travel thing. Trust. It's not like time travel, but like what word did I just say? Groundhog. It's gonna be a groundhog thing. Just you wait. The manga was written by Ryo Kishi, so this is all canon. Don't worry, already injecting the manga into your brain as we go along, like I did with those two too. Good. I'm okay with this. I'm very okay with this. Because I didn't. Usually when they make... Actually, no, that's a lie. I was gonna say usually when they make a manga based off a pre-existing thing, it's usually low effort or ugly, but then I remembered that the Persona manga is actually really gorgeous as well, with amazing art. So maybe it's a track record that they look really pretty. Two. The witch shall praise the wise and grant 4 treasures in the golden land. There they chose to revive the souls of the dead and the love they possess, because what they desired could not be gained for a moment of gold, no matter how high. From a mountain of gold. For George, he lost... Oh, okay, wait. This is very interesting, what the heck? Why did they put so much interesting, important stuff in the credits that will go by in 10 trillion miles a second? The witch shall praise the wise and grant 4 treasures in the golden land. There she chose to revive the souls of the dead and use the love they possessed. Because what they desired could not be gained from a mountain of gold, no matter how high. For George, he lost his lost fiancé. For Jessica, his lost loved one. Her lost loved one. Wait, why is it written like that? Her lost loved one. Did she revive Kanon and not Natsuhi? Jessica, please. Please. For Maria, the lost love of her mother. That makes sense. It's not like she didn't ask for her mother. She asked for the warmth of her mother. Rest in peace, Beatrice. May your slumber never be disturbed again. It will. The winner is the Golden Witch Beatrice. Of the 18, none solved the riddle of the golden time. All 18 died. When the seagulls cried, none were left alive. Oh man, if I didn't waste 2 hours yapping about the 7 Princes of Hell, which ultimately led nowhere, after reading that I might have done a little bit of the Tea Party, but it's too late now. We failed, we lost. And now we deal with the consequences. We will be sleeping tonight, looking at the ceiling, thinking, that's it. That's what we're gonna be thinking. GG's, I guess. Jules said this? You could have finished it. Yeah. I realize. Caught emoji. Yeah, this note doesn't even say the whole credit, like the end credit thing. This note sucks. No, stop. I don't care. Get out of my screen! Oh, jeez. Alright, well, that is all. No tea party. I mean, I'm flabbergasted. I'm not satisfied, obviously. I don't feel any satisfaction. I don't feel good. I feel bad. I failed, apparently. I know I didn't fail. It's part of what was supposed to happen. But the games that I failed, I'm sad. I'm mad. The 7 Princes of Hell had nothing to do with anything. I will be punching the air tonight. But none of what I said is supposed to be complaints about the game. It's good because it has my interests. I have been piqued. My interest has been piqued. I am curious, flabbergasted how it's going to continue from now on if everyone's dead. Like, is the Golden Land like an actual place and the rest of the chapters are going to take place in the Golden Land? Is it that they're not actually dead? They were just like, take it somewhere for a little while and they're going to return. Is everyone going to be revived? Is it a time travel situation where each episode restarts at the day of the typhoon where it started, and things are going to go differently because like they retain memories or some such, or at least Battler does? Is it gonna be different protagonists? Is it gonna be different protagonists each chapter? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I don't think it's... I don't know. That's it. I'm tired. I'm tired. No more thoughts. I don't want to think no more. I don't like thinking. Thinking's bad. Don't know. Never read this. Very well. This is where we end forever. Next stream shall be on October of next year. So farewell to all. Good night, and thank you for watching. And I despise every single one of you. And I hate this game. And I hate everything. That's it. She's going to return. I hate. I feel nothing but hate in my heart. Goodbye. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Farewell.